I feel happy with the resolution
How? Why?
because I got what I wanted.
Yeah, but do you feel like she got what she wanted?
No,
Why?
why not?
Because it seems like she's having a lot of trouble emotionally processing everything going on around this event.
Yes, whose problem is that?
Both of yours.
No, I still contest your overall view of this situation as unresolved, and that Shaylin said no. She said yes, and I got what I wanted, and I feel like this is a victory.
I don't think that should be the goal.
Okay, let me be clear. When I call Shaylin controlling, I'm not. My problem was not her saying no, because she didn't say no. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She didn't say yes to the conversation. She didn't say no to the conversation.
Yeah, okay.
She just leaves me in this hell.
Yeah. So what do you think is happening? What do you think is the problem? It's pretty simple, I think. Maximus. Well, Max, hello.
Hi, Steven.
How are you maxing today? You living your maximum life?
That's right. I am. My back hurts. I pulled a muscle in my back.
Why would you do that?
Stress. I've been under a lot of stress lately.
Really? Why is that?
Just working these projects. Fame is stressful. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Of course. Absolutely.
Are we gonna do cameras?
We can or we don't have to. It's up to you. I don't care. Either way, it's fine with me.
Yeah, let's do cameras. I think I want to communicate some things non-verbally.
Why the fuck would you ask me a question if you already had the answer in mind?
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Why wouldn't you just state, let's turn on cameras? Why would you give me the illusion of choice? Like, if I would have said no, you probably would have asked again, like, are you sure? Like, I'm supposed to...
I wouldn't... No, no. If you say no, I would accept that, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it would be...
Why were you uncomfortable expressing a preference there initially, though? Why not just say, like, hey, I'd prefer to have cameras. There are things I want to communicate non-verbally.
Because I think that you outrank me. Well, first of all, I'm a guest on your stream. Your stream's much bigger. You gave me my career. So I feel like, well, So I feel like it's up to you.
Okay. Okay, bud. Hold on. Mr. Girl.
I see where you're going with this, though. I like it.
Do you know? Jesus, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be that aggressive the whole time. Don't worry, okay?
Okay.
All right.
You do what you need to do.
Okay.
I also might post this on my channel.
Oh, gotcha.
Depending on how it goes.
No problem. All right. Are you excited? Are you hyped? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm fucking ready.
Okay. I just have questions.
A few questions, yeah.
So, I listened to the video of you debating Shaylin on Ever Feelings, of you talking to your girlfriend. Yep. It is girlfriend, right? It's not
just girlfriend.
Okay, gotcha.
Not yet.
Not yet. And
I could propose to her right now on stream. Wouldn't that be romantic?
Maybe.
As I defend my abusive behavior.
That would be a good love bomb. The most effective. That's how I got married to fucking Melina. We had a huge fight. And I was like, "Fuck, this bitch is about to run out on me." And I was like, "Melina, I love you. Marry me." And she was like, oh,
"Nice."
Okay. Yeah, that didn't actually happen. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna save this for.
Yeah, you want to save that for a big fight.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, I don't have these organized by topic at all. It was just kind of like things that I was writing down as the video was going. So I'm kind of doing order and time, and not necessarily by topic. All right.
Okay. You know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about.
For which thing?
The whole thing.
I do, but I know what she's talking about too. I don't know if you know what she's talking about. We'll see. We'll get there. Okay. For some things, I'm just kind of curious. Normally with people, I would caveat a bunch, but I don't think I need to. Yeah, I think none of these are like attacking questions. I'm just like curious. When you say no. You have an interesting perspective, and this has kind of come up a few other times on sex. And I'm curious, like, what that is. So you present this idea initially that like when you're having sex with somebody, it feels like you want to be in your zone 100%, no consideration, no worrying about what they're doing, and that even if you make it like 90% you and 10% them, that 10% space that you're creating for them becomes like 90% of what you're thinking about, and it kind of like ruins it. Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah, just expand on that. I'm curious how you talk around that.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate. I feel okay. So here's a story. When I was about 12, my new stepmother asked my father, "Did you ever have a sex talk with Max?" And my father said, "Max, make sure the woman comes first." That's our sex talk. And I was just raised in a very feminist, liberal environment with feminist, liberal parents. I was basically taught that.
Well, okay. To be clear, that wasn't a very feminist slash liberal statement at all, but go ahead.
You don't think so?
Absolutely not.
How so?
There's maybe it's a phrasing issue, but there's a difference fundamentally in the approach to a sexual interaction where one is where you are concerned about the sexual gratification of your partner, and the other is, I got to knock this shit out so that they feel like they got something from it like I did, right?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
My interpretation of what he meant, and this is also based on the rest of my life, is guys who just hump and then come and then fall asleep are pigs. You don't want to be a selfish asshole. You want to be a courteous, empathetic, adaptive lover who is going to satisfy his woman because that's what's important in bed.
Okay. I think that's like, I would say that's like level 3. We want to get one more level deeper, but that's okay. That's probably okay. Level 1 is like, I don't give a fuck about my partner. Level 2 is like, level 2 is like, I'll make him come first at least. Level 3 is like, you want to be an attentive lover so that your partner's having a good time. I think ideally there's like a 4th level maybe where it's like me and my partner are like in this mutual pursuit of gratification or trying to satisfy each other, and there's like an inherent or intrinsic enjoyment in that. So like if I'm with a partner that I really like, I'm not getting them off so that they're having a good time, or only so that like I'm making sure that like we're not uneven on orgasm counts, but because like I enjoy that experience too. Like I genuinely want them to be enjoying their time with me. That's not necessarily a thing that has to happen or whatever, but I guess, but yeah.
Well, yeah, that wanting can bleed into a feeling of responsibility.
Sure. Which I don't think is a bad thing, but
it can feel bad. So I mean, I've been saddled with this shit since I was 12. A feeling
isn't that like? Or go ahead.
Like as a 12-year-old, it feels very weird to be told like your sexual fantasies that you have now are actually misogynistic, almost rape fantasies. With those fantasies you have where you're fucking somebody, that's not what sex should be like. You shouldn't be doing that. Sex should be you're twisting your wrists down so you can rub someone's clit while you're fucking them. That's what real sex is like. And like that's how my sex was for a long time. When I was 16, I was a very good little clit slave. And for a long time after that, and then I started like hating sex.
I understand because it's you're talking about like this feeling where it's like there's some like set of actions that I have to perform that can sometimes suck, and it's like a lot to be thinking about the other person, and there's a big responsibility that goes on, and now we've kind of like sucked all the fun. Like I just want to throw some bitch over the couch and fuck her until Yeah,
I literally basically had never done that, except I had one girlfriend who didn't need any stimulation other than just me fucking her. And that was like very nice. But then after that, I didn't like really pick up on anything. I really liked having sex with her, but after that, I didn't really pick up on I didn't learn anything from that. So yeah, and like this mirrored my feelings about relationships in general, is that they're never for me. I feel like I'm always taking care of people, or historically, I always felt like that. That I'm always managing other people's feelings. And like, Everybody says I'm an empath, and I don't know if it's true, but I think possibly it is.
Okay.
But I think part of what's made me empathetic is just like being afraid of my parents, being afraid of what's going to happen if I don't manage their emotions.
Sure.
So just ever since I was a kid, I feel like I'm just tracking everybody's feelings and trying to keep them from fucking freaking out. And with Shaylin, I mean, she wants me to do that. She wants me to track her feel, and I speak for both of us because she will not be making any public statements about this video or our relationship.
Sure. Gotcha.
Okay.
Damn, I really wanted to get both of you on here at one point, but okay. So I'll share my
Protect her from the masses.
Yeah, I'll share my view on this, and then we'll see if we can find any commensurability between the two of our views. If there's any way we could relate these.
Okay.
So I would consider, I think for me, because I'm not a fighter generally, I don't get a lot of fist fights with people. Yeah. Sexual interactions with me are very unique in that you are sharing a very intimate space with somebody that ordinarily is respected in all other cases in life. You're never getting that close to somebody or being like manipulating somebody's body. This is like a very, very intimate thing, right? Maybe a doctor will do this in an exam, and even that can feel a little bit awkward. Like you're necessarily giving up a lot to allow somebody to do that. Their hands are in places that might make you uncomfortable. They have the potential to do a great deal of like physical or psychological damage to you. There's like a lot going on. I guess I feel like when I listen to you talk about sexual experiences, it sounds like there is this, you have 100 points of sex pleasure, and you're trying to divide this up between like man and woman. So like even when you're getting 90 points of sex pleasure, if you have to give them 10, like that it fucks with your head, and it's like, fuck, I just want like to do the 100 points and be done with it, right? I want to have all of this like to myself so that I can enjoy this and then whatever. But I guess when I think of like sexual experiences, this is going to sound really religious in this terminology, but like I view this as like it's a union of two people creating one thing, and then in that one thing, in that shared space, like I think you can both pursue everything you want more or less, but you kind of have to be aware of what the other person is doing because it's a shared space. It's like when you fuse with the Patera earrings in DBZ and you become one body. There's like you're two people sharing a space, and you kind of have to figure out how to navigate that for the both of you, rather than like two individual entities that are just trying to get as much as they can without the other person fucking it up too much. Is I guess like the difference.
And you see my view of it as too like combative or too competitive.
I don't think that your view is necessarily bad, but I don't know if this ruins it for you, but it would have to be something that requires like a level of negotiation ahead of time. So like, have you ever heard, for instance, of the concept like free use?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something that like appeals to you, or does that suck because you have to talk about it beforehand?
No, I'm fine with talking. I mean, that's kind of what I was trying to do in the video, is talk about it beforehand. I'm fine with that. The thing that appeals to me about free is it's not really a sexual thing. I'm not like, man, the idea of just like a lifeless, cold body there is amazing. Like it's not that. It's an emotional thing that I'm asking for.
Yeah, I think it's not. You don't need like they could even be an active participant. You just don't want to feel like when you're having sex with somebody, you don't want to have to feel like you have to manage their feelings at all. Like they can be into it, they can do whatever, but you want to feel like you can get in there, do what you want, and they are 100% self-sufficient in terms of taking care of themselves and everything emotionally.
Yeah, but I think that I feel I want reparations.
What do you mean by that?
So I'm from women.
Well, but like, what kind of reparations? What do you mean?
I want agency reparations. Like I want control. I want selfishness. I want to have that 12-year-old sex I never got to have, 16-year-old sex I never got to have. I want to be more like a 16-year-old. I feel like I'm missing my childhood, my teenage years.
So like,
and I want Shaylin to just like allow me to be that 16-year-old, careless, selfish teenager, occasionally, and not always, just sometimes. And like, it's not I don't know if it's something I'll want forever, and I also don't I think that our relationship could change in a way, or I could change in a way so that I don't feel like I want that. But right now, I get what you're saying. Like you're saying, I could have that feeling and not have the other person just lie still with duct tape over their mouth. But I don't think where I'm at right now, I don't know if that's possible. I feel like anything now just feels like you're telling me I have to figure out what you're thinking and feeling and deal with it. And I don't want. I need you to just cocoon into yourself, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in about 12 minutes.
Gotcha. I think that I want to be really careful with what I say, because I'm not advising you to like break up. I'm never going down that road or anything. But I think that it can be the case that sometimes there are like fundamental sexual incompatibilities with some people, right? Like say you have like a very prim and proper woman who doesn't believe in any degrading stuff, and like maybe she'll even like give you blowjobs. But let's say you have this fantasy where it's like, I want to hang you over the edge of the bed and fuck your throat until you're fucking crying. And that person is like, I will never ever do that. Like at some point you have to realize like, okay, well, fuck me. I'm either gonna open my relationship, be single, or cheat, or I guess whatever, or fuck a real doll, I guess. But like, yeah. So I'm curious because it sounds like for Shaylin, there's some level of emotion. If you don't want to talk about it or bring it up, or I can. Whatever.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, it feels like she wants to feel like there's some level of emotional management or at least engagement going on with the other party during sex. Otherwise. And she didn't explain why, so it's hard to know, but maybe she feels like used, or maybe she feels just in general like unseen or unheard, or those sexual experiences aren't fulfilling for any of those prior, or maybe other unlisted reasons, which makes it hard for her to, I guess, like acquiesce to those desires, to your desires.
I can give my interpretation of what Shaylin was saying. If you
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. My understanding is that Shaylin, well, first of all, if she was really into it, then I wouldn't want it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I want her to be giving me something. And if she happens to want the exact same thing as me, then my fantasy becomes eclipsed by hers. And it then feels like it's about her. So I want her, like, okay, getting throat fucked is like a pretty serious thing. Like that's some people, that's not something you're going to feel neutral about. That's like hugely great or terrible.
Kind of, but
still,
just to draw some delineations here, because it is interesting, right? Because it sounds like if a girl like threw herself over the edge of the bed, was like, I really want you to throat fuck me until I cry, that experience wouldn't really be as fulfilling for you as if you like rolled a girl over and you were like, let me throat fuck you until you cry and just like deal with it, and then afterwards maybe I could do something. Like you would like that second experience more, right? With the one where she's like not, because if it's about like
well,
this, yeah,
well, I want to be careful. I want to be
yeah,
careful too. It's not. It depends on what kind of tears you want. So.
Well, I don't mean like. I'm sorry. When I'm talking about throat fucking, I don't mean crying like because you're traumatized. I mean crying because you like lack of air and whatever else goes on when you're shoving dicks in your throat.
It's not that I wouldn't like it, but if I would be serving her, like,
yeah,
regardless of what it looks like, if somebody says do this to me until XYZ, then you are effectively serving that person, and like that's fine. I'm not saying I'm against all like service and sex. What bothers me is when there's no clarity about the service.
It's always going to be like really hard to find that though, no? Like let's say for instance, like let's say that I'm to
find that compatibility?
No, to find that clarity. Like let's say that I'm with a girl and I like the idea of like somebody riding on top of me. That's like a really hot idea for them to do that just for me. I want you to do that just for me. And let's say the girl is even willing to say like, oh, like I don't normally do that. I'm into that. She's like, I'll do it for you because I love you. Well, what's happening at that point? Is she like doing something just for me, or is she doing it because like now it's the thing she wants to do because she loves me, or like that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you even begin to separate out like what is for me and what's not for me, especially in the context of a relationship, right?
That can get complicated. I agree, but I think there's certain markers that I am looking for to feel like something is for me. So like one, it was my idea. Okay. You know, if Shaylin had said, you know, Max, I was thinking, you seem to have a lot of trouble with blah blah blah, and I think that it might be nice for you if I lie perfectly still during sex. What do you think? Then that would start to feel like, what are you tricking me? You want me to do this for some reason? There's a trick. There's a trap. That the Venus flytrap alarm would go off if she did that. But that didn't happen. Another is like when I asked her, she wasn't like, "Oh, you hit the nail on the head. This is my fantasy. I want this." And then she said yes immediately. So she did say yes immediately. But then I felt like she wanted to make the way we're talking about it about her, which is like a problem for me, because it's like, okay, I'm getting the thing in a tiny little nugget, but it's surrounded by the exact opposite of what I want. Of like, can you make this conversation where you're asking me to lie still during sex about me?
I think
like,
that there's...
No.
Okay,
no,
so...
I don't want to do that.
Okay, there is a... I'm trying to explain this. There's a dynamic around rougher sex that's always kind of like that, and I'm so I'm curious how you feel about this. Okay, so I've been with people that like very rough encounters sometimes, and I'm not normally like that, but I mean I can play the role if I need to. Okay, but when I'm in charge of like a very rough encounter like that, it's most of my brain power is usually spent figuring out like how is the other person responding, right? And I think that in the middle of that encounter, even though you're pushing really hard, like the only reason it works is because the other person knows that there's some consideration at the end of the day there for them. So it's kind of weird, because I feel like in situations where you're in charge of the sexual encounter, you're actually the bitch. Like, I'm taking you as hard as I can, but I'm making sure that like it's a good position and I'm not like destroying your cervix. I'm making sure that if I'm choking you, I'm not like actually killing you. Like I'm making sure that if I'm pulling your hair, right, we're at the base and we're not just pulling the end. Like there's like all these things going on where it's like, yeah, like we're doing the experience where you're getting this like very, very intense, hard thing. But like all of my thoughts are making sure like, okay, like I'm not like actually hurting this person. And they know that I know where the boundaries are. It seems like you want to literally just rape somebody. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think the thing is, though, with hard sex, a lot of the person wants to be free to react as though you're raping them. So
a little bit, yeah. But all of that incurs. All of it is always wrapped in that nugget of
yeah. But I'm saying that if you're having sex that is going to look a lot like rape, like rough rape, and the person wants to be able to say no, stop, but I didn't say strawberry daiquiri, so you don't have to actually stop. Like, then in that case, it makes sense to be more careful and more attuned. But if the person's lying still, I think it's like, I don't think we need a safe word for that. She can just be like, stop, you know? So I don't think that I would need that same level of hyper attunement, because I don't think it's that dangerous of a way to have sex.
Two separate conversations we're kind of having right now, but so because I'm kind of more focused on, I'm just trying to figure out what you want to get out of it. We'll follow this tangent for a little bit. So if the person is just laying there, you want to fuck them, you don't feel like it's really a big deal. It might not be to you because it doesn't seem that sexually intense, right?
No, it could be very psychologically intense.
Yeah, and I think that's like the issue, is that the person feels like, there have been people that I've been with where nothing extreme is going on, but you can tell for them like it's a very psychologically or emotionally intense moment. Yeah.
Yes, that's for sure a consideration. But that's why I'm saying. So I think that's true of both of us. We're both very likely to have some kind of like trauma freak out during sex.
A little bit, but it's different when you're the one in charge. Because when you're the one in charge, you have a way easier time stopping. Whereas for the other person, if they get nervous,
they have to actually speak up.
Yeah, which is very challenging. And you've already had videos saying you don't care if they do. I'm just fucking with you. Well, half fucking with you, but go ahead.
Wait, saying I don't. That time. Yeah.
But so I guess I think we both probably agree and understand that. But the backing up a little bit, I guess I'm trying to figure out like, I'm trying not to like, it sounds like I'm trying to trap you. I know you don't think I would do that, but I'm trying to find a different way to ask you, like, do you just want to rape somebody? Can you help me find a different way?
Steven, I trust you enough to just lie still while you do your thing.
Yeah, because it sounds like that you want...
Take me wherever you want.
You want to basically... however. You basically want to have a person where you're just like, there's a thing that I want to do. I want to do it because I want to do it. I don't care. You figure your own shit out, and then I'm gonna do that.
That's the key. Figure your own shit out.
I don't know if this is possible with humans without a lot of drugs. That's what I'm trying to think of. I'm trying to think of if it's possible. Because
Okay,
there's
so
two.
you're
There's
saying,
two. There's, oh, yeah, go
I
ahead.
think you might be being a little sexist here.
Okay.
If Melina asked you, will you lie still during sex? I just want to ride you once every month.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ride you and do my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would be fair to say, well, you might have trouble advocating for yourself in that situation? It could be traumatic for you psychologically, and that would only be possible if you did drugs? I feel like
For
you're saying
me,
this about...
well, no, hold on, because it's totally different. Because if a girl were to ask me that, like, if that girl was you, if you wanted to ride me and you were saying,
Yes.
Steven, I want to take you into my pussy, right?
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
say to you, okay, Max, but I'm going to agree to it very quickly, and I'm going to have a lot of fun doing that. Is that going to ruin the experience for you? And you're going to be like, fuck, it's not the same now. Because that's the difference,
Maybe.
right?
I don't... Well,
Like, if you were to ask me
you and
that-
I would never have this problem in the first place.
Well,
but
anything's possible. It's 2022. Okay. But I'm saying,
no,
like,
no, I meant
I'm
because we're so compatible, we wouldn't have this
Oh,
problem.
of course, yeah. But I'm saying, like, so you gave me, like, these three criteria earlier. That it's your idea, that the other person doesn't say, like, yes immediately, and that you have, like, a certain way of talking about it, right? But, like, if you suggested that, I would agree immediately.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, sure. And I would have a lot of fun doing it. So, like,
Okay,
I feel like that
that's-
would ruin that for you.
Maybe, but I still don't think that you would need drugs to do it.
Well, no, what I'm saying you would need drugs for is to genuinely have an experience where you're positing an idea that the other person's not really into, but you want to be able to kind of like get access to their body and use them for that. That there's either one of two things happening. Either one, they're legitimately getting raped, or two, there's found some way to dissociate
Okay.
themselves from the experience so
I
much,
see.
usually with like some kind of drug. Yeah, that like I don't see how
I
a
don't-
normal
don't-
human interaction could go that way. Yeah.
I don't think the problem is that Shaylin isn't into it.
Okay.
I don't agree that she's not into it. The problem is that she's not into agreeing to things.
Well, if she was into it though, wouldn't that ruin it for you?
No, it's not that I want her to dislike it or not like it. I think what would ruin it is if I felt like actually I was acting out her fantasy. It's not that I want her to not like it. It's fine if she I'm sure she.
Well, it feels
I
like you
mean,
could like get into
li-
that.
she,
You could start
she
doing
likes
it and be really into it, and then all of a sudden, she orgasms. And you're like, "Fuck you, bitch! I didn't know you liked
No,
that
no,
this
no,
much.
it's fine.
You liked it
That's
more than
fine.
me." No, okay.
No, that's fine. It's not. I'm not saying I don't have to like it more than her. I just want to have to not worry about her or not feel like I am serving her. That's what it is. Is I often feel like I'm serving people in relationships, and so if I'm just in that hypothetical, I just meant if I said it and then she reacted in a way that was like, "Oh, I've been trying to get you to say this for a long time. Good job, my pet." Then that would make me feel just used again.
Sure.
So it's not that I want her to. It's more about framing. It's not so much about her experience of it, like if she orgasms or likes it or whatever. It's more about my what bothered me in the conversation is that it felt like it was the agreement itself was being reframed as somehow I have to be super caretaking of her. Like no matter what, I can't escape it. I can't escape it during sex. I can't escape it. And so then if I'm like, well, what if we can take this out of sex? She's like, well, then you have to caretake me right now. And it's like,
Isn't that like, how do you?
I want the burden to be lifted.
Sure. I'm trying to think.
And I want her to take on the burden. And I think if she were a man, I feel like you would think this was a more reasonable request.
I think that. So I want to be very careful when I say this. This isn't a slight on Shaylin.
What do you want sausage?
I need a knife.
Yes, it is.
And this is good. It's not a slight on Shaylin, but I don't like. I think that
It's okay if it is.
what you're asking for would be like an exceptionally rare thing. I don't think many people can handle that level of self-care when they're that intimately engaged with another person. I think I could, but like I would understand that that would be an incredibly rare thing. Thank you. I don't.
Well, then that's what I need.
But so then, where do you go from there? If your partner isn't able to like.
Wait, she said yes, right? I mean, like, we have the same understanding
Well,
at the ending.
she
of
said
the
yes
video.
with a lot of obvious emotional reservations, right?
Well, that's
because
perfect.
she said yes, but
That's perfect.
But she wants to wrap it in that nugget of things about her. That's the issue. She's never going to say yes to what you're looking for because your issue with the rest of the conversation, she didn't, and that's why it fell apart at the end. The issue with the rest of the conversation is she said yes to the thing in the middle, and then the rest of it was building the nugget, right? Because that's what you were upset about her for. Like, why are you making this about you? Why can't we just do this thing? Why are you guys going day of the month? Like, Jesus.
But I said no, I said no to the nugget. I escaped the nugget.
Yeah, but by even saying no to the nugget is being made, right? Like if it's a 90-10 thing, by even acknowledging the 10 thing, now it's become the 90 thing is what it feels like. Because it felt like that was the majority of your disagreements for like the whole last half of that interview was how to deal with the emotional stuff around what you want to be fundamentally an unemotional experience.
Yeah, I'm not saying it went perfectly, but I feel like I feel happy with the resolution.
Why?
Because I got what I wanted.
Yeah, but do you feel like she got what she wanted?
No.
Why shouldn't in a relationship, if you guys are looking at yourself as some sort of singular entity that you've come together and joined to make some
You're putting me in a impossible, like, either if she gets what she wants, then I lose, and if she doesn't get what she wants, then we're not a singular entity. I guess I just don't think of us as a singular entity.
No, you don't. You're both individuals, but when you come together in a relationship, especially for sexual purposes, there's one thing that is existing here that like has to be dealt with, right? There's a new thing that's created.
Once a month.
Okay.
I don't want us to come together as a singular entity.
Mm-hmm.
I want us to come together as individuals. I want to jack off with her body.
Sure.
And I want her to do whatever she needs to do to not make it my job to be super attuned to her. I actually want her to act in a way that makes it harder for me to attune to her.
Sure. But it seems like in order to get to that point, you're going to have to lay a whole bunch of emotional groundwork to get there. Like, you're going to have to do a lot of work to get to that point. Does that make sense?
I feel like we're there.
Hold on. I was going to say I don't think so. Let me rephrase that. Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because it seems like she's having a lot of trouble emotionally processing everything going on around this event.
Yes. Whose problem is that?
Both of yours.
No. I see. This is another thing I'm trying to change in my relationship with Shaylin.
Mm-hmm.
Processing your emotions is your job.
Sure, but
now,
you're both invested in the outcome of that process, are you not?
No.
Of course you are. You want her to be more emotionally stable and like, right? It's affecting your happiness.
Yeah. I care about that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as getting what I want, I just need her to process her emotions on her own, or not process them and then say, "Oh, I freaked out. I can't handle this." Either one.
What if you get to the point to where she's basically saying, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I have to exit the relationship.
I don't think she would break up with me because, I can't do what anymore? Process my own emotions?
Without any sort of input or guidance or help or acknowledgement from you or feeling seen by you.
Look, we both help each other process our emotions. I'm not saying that I don't want to help her, but it's about responsibility that I'm saying. I don't want it to be my job to process her emotions for her instead of her. That feels like parenting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say the same in my relationships. I go really hard on that. I don't want to feel like your dad. I'm not here to do that for you. But even at that point, there is like, I'm going to understand that, especially if I'm making a really big ask, there's going to be the other person is looking for some kind of assurance. Like they want to make sure that things are okay. And I think that asking people to just basically jump off the edge of a cliff and close their eyes and hope that there's a balloon at the bottom that's going to catch them. It's a really big ask for most people.
Yeah, but that's that even your framing of that is the responsibility that you and I feel is so baked into that analogy that when you and I get asked to manage our own feelings and process our own feelings and lie still so that we can be used, we're not jumping off of a cliff. We're not hoping there's some balloon at the bottom. We're just managing our feelings. But when we ask Shaylin to do it, It's throwing a little baby off of a cliff. And like I just don't I agree that I kind of feel like that, but I don't it's not true. I don't want to feel like that.
I think so here okay. So I'm
This
speaking
baby
from
better fucking grow wings.
speaking from a place of personal experience here because I have a lot of issues with this too. So I've had to deal
Yeah.
with this a lot too. But like one thing that you have to accept is not everybody has the same emotional needs. Like I'm the type of person, and also this is one important thing. Not everybody has the same emotional needs. Number one, and number two, not everything in a relationship has to be reciprocated.
Those are both true.
Yeah. So if different people have different levels of emotional requirements, it's not fair. I don't want to say it's abusive, but it's like it's not fair to bring up your emotional composition as a counter to theirs. And I'll admit I do this sometimes when I fight with Melina, even where she'll say like, "Oh, well, I feel bad about this. You should do
and
that."
you said I would never fucking do this.
Yeah,
to you.
and I'll say like, "Bro, you could do 20 times worse than me. I don't want to give a fuck. I'd go to my computer room and fucking stream. Like, get the fuck over yourself, right?" I'll say this when I'm mad, but I shouldn't. It's not a fair thing to say. Like, you can't expect people to match your internal emotional composition just because you want them to, right? Because they'll never be that. They can't unless you're dating like 14-year-olds. They'll never turn into that person. We're grown up. We're adults. Like that's not going to change at that point. If you're in your 20s,
I don't know if that's
like,
true. I think we're dating some pretty young ladies.
How old is Shaylin?
We are dating 14-year-olds. She's 27.
Okay, well that's no.
I'm pretty different from how I was when I was 27.
Really?
I'm much more. Yeah. I couldn't talk about my feelings at all. I could not process or I was like Shaylin. I was a complete fucking mess.
I mean, I still think you're a mess, but I don't. I bet you weren't that.
But not a
different.
complete mess.
Not a complete mess, maybe, but okay.
Do you think I'm a complete mess?
No, not a complete mess. But I
Well,
think you have
see?
trouble interfacing with other humans sometimes, or it seems like.
And I think you don't have enough trouble interfacing with other humans sometimes.
Okay, based.
See, just because you can help somebody manage their feelings, and just because they're saying they need you to, and even if they actually need you to, that doesn't necessarily mean you should.
I agree, and those are boundaries that I'll set. Like I'll tell somebody, it's usually for fighting, so I'm doing it in a bad way. But I'll be like, hey, like if you need this, if you need me to like manage this for you, then get the fuck out of my house. I'm never gonna do it, right? There are like things that I won't do. I can't do that. But there are things that I will do that I wouldn't expect somebody to do for me because I understand that I'm an exceptionally emotionally detached individual. But I would never. But if I walk through life trying to place the same expectations on other people that I would want them to place on me, I'm probably never gonna find anybody ever because people process things in different ways. It's just part of the concessions we have to make when we join into a relationship, right?
I agree. I do more of in this specific way in the terms of helping the other person process their emotions. I do a little bit more of the lifting there.
But it's probably because you don't need help processing yours, right?
No, I do. I think I actually do, and I ask her for help with that, and she does help me with that. So it's not all one way. I do need help with that. But when it comes to this doll sex, I need a break. Daddy needs a break.
Well, no. You don't need a break. You need access to their body and then for them to shut their emotions off. It's a way bigger ask than just saying, I need a break.
No.
Right?
I don't want her to shut her emotions off. I actually need her to not shut her emotions off.
Well, you need her to shut her emotions off from you. You don't want to engage with that. That's her. Yeah,
right. I don't want her to dissociate because that will cause problems. I think that's the concern, is that she'll do this by dissociating. That would not be okay with. If I sense from looking at her lifeless body that she's dissociated, then I will yell at her for a whole new thing. I need somebody to be taking care of Shaylin. I just need it to not be me once in a while.
You need like a threesome with like a caretaker to be touching her head while you're...
Yes. And explaining to her how she feels and calling her a stupid bitch and telling her to shut up. Somebody needs to take the reins for 12 minutes.
Gotcha.
12 minutes a month.
Have you ever thought about just paying... Oh, no, because you guys are in a closed relationship. Have you ever thought about just like paying a prostitute for this experience?
I could pay Shaylin for this experience.
No, you can't because you don't have that. You can't just change your relationship. Like
I don't have that kind of money.
Okay.
We have a I don't know. No. See, that's the thing, is that the prostitute would have the same problem as the doll.
Which is?
It's not really giving me anything. A prostitute's not really doing something for you. Like, they kind of are, but it's,
Do you feel like if somebody gives you like a blowjob, are they doing something for you, or are they doing it only because they love you, so it doesn't count as them doing something for you?
I think it depends on the blowjob. I've gotten blowjobs that felt like somebody was just trying to suck my soul out of me, and then I've gotten blowjobs that felt like they're doing a nice thing for me. I don't have a blanket interpretation of getting a blowjob.
Okay.
I still contest your overall view of this situation as unresolved, and that Shaylin said no. She said yes, and I got what I wanted, and I feel like this is a victory.
I don't think that should be the goal of those types of conversations, right?
Well, maybe that's the issue, is you don't like my goal.
Yeah, I don't think you should be trying to win confrontations with a partner. I think that the goal should
Try
be
to get something.
Yeah, but the goal should be that both of you walk away feeling like you've gotten something and you're both satisfied.
That wasn't my goal. Yeah. So you just don't like my goal.
Well, from a business perspective, sure, but from a relationship perspective, like, it just seems not healthy for both parties. Like, if Shaylin was trying to extract something from you like that, like, you would probably walk away feeling awful, right?
It wouldn't be an extraction. That's the thing, is that I would just answer her question.
Mm-hmm. Well, like,
Again,
you would just say no or whatever, right?
I'd say yes, or I would say no.
Okay.
Or I would say, I need to think about this.
Okay.
Or I would say, I have some clarifying questions to make sure I know what I'm agreeing to. But whatever I said, I would give her the clear sense that I am figuring out for myself what I'm okay with, and I will return with an answer for you, and you'll know clearly where you stand. Again, I reject the notion that Shaylin is saying no to the sex act, or that she has even any particular reservations about the act itself.
Mm-hmm.
She just doesn't like making agreements.
I disagree, but you know her way better than I do, yeah. So, like, it feels to me like she doesn't have any problems with the act itself, but she's trying to figure out, like, emotionally where both of you are going to be standing before and after the act.
She's trying to control where we're going to be standing. She's not trying to figure it out.
She is trying to control, but that's because she's one of the members of this interaction. So of course she wants some kind of control.
Oh, let me be clear. When I call Shaylin controlling, my problem isn't that she is exerting control. It's the way she's exerting control. It's that she's underhandedly trying to control it.
How do you feel like it's underhanded? Like, what? In what way? What do you mean by that?
Well, if what you're trying to say is, hey, listen, I want to provide this thing for you, but I have to be honest. I'm a little scared and feeling a little abandoned by the prospect of you completely detaching from attuning to me, because as we both know, I'm kind of an unstable bitch. And as an unstable bitch, I need you to be somewhat more attuned to me than you normally feel like you should be. And this is a constant power struggle between us. So I want to try to work out with you what level of attunement we're going to have, or for how long you're going to be not attuning to me. And this is something I'd like to work on, maybe in a couple of years or something, I'll be able to just say yes to what you're asking. But right now, you're asking me to take care of myself. But the fact is, I don't really know how to do that. I'm not very good at it. And so here's what I need from you. And then come up with a list of demands or counter proposal or whatever, or say, this is something we could work towards. I can't do it right now, though. I'm really not ready. Any of that would be just great. My problem is not in that conversation. My problem was not her saying no, because she didn't say no. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She didn't say yes to the conversation. She didn't say no to the conversation.
Yeah, okay.
She just leaves me in this hell.
Yeah. So what do you think is happening? What do you think is the problem? It's pretty simple, I think.
I think there was a problem where the conversation about the interview, I think, is a metaphor for how she feels during sex, and she doesn't explicitly think.
Too complicated. So this is my feeling. You can tell me if you think I'm right or wrong, okay? I feel like her problem is that she doesn't know where she wants to set her boundaries, and she's kind of hoping that you'll help her figure that out. And you're frustrated because you're not having a conversation with her trying to figure out where her boundaries are. You're making an ask, and you want her to already come to the table with that solved. Like,
Okay.
you want her to be able to come to the table and say, like, yes or no. Don't ask me these dumb fucking questions, Shaylin. We don't need to have this other random shit. Just tell me what you want or tell me what you don't want, and then boom. But she's coming to you, yeah, we're in a bit more of a undecided state, and her trying to navigate her feelings and yours simultaneously are different when she's trying to, because she's trying to advocate on her behalf and your behalf, but
You
you're
give
only
these
pushing on your
women
side.
so much charity.
No,
can't
actually,
believe
I'll
it.
be totally honest with you. I literally just had this huge problem like 3 days ago in my relationship where I'm really bad at asserting boundaries, and I literally just now I can speak from Shaylin's perspective. I literally had the exact same issue where I'll have problems where people will. Here's a personal thing that I've just recently figured this out. I don't know how the fuck it took me so long, but when I get into conflicts in relationships, my thing is usually I'll withdraw or I'll start lying. These are the two things that I'll do because I just don't want to like interface with their person. They're irritating me. And what I found out was that there are some boundaries that I have in a relationship. There are now usually these are more passive, like don't ask me about this or don't talk to me about this or act this way, do this particular thing, right? And this is like a need that I have that before I thought I didn't care, but now I'm like, actually I have this need. But when the other person isn't aware that those boundaries exist, they're just kind of existing in a state where they're kind of pushing, pulling, trying to figure shit out, and then I'm getting triggered, and now everything is getting fucked up because I'm not doing a good job at asserting boundaries, right? So oftentimes in relationships, people will blame the aggressor when in reality, the person failing to assert themselves can be just as much responsible for everything else because their lack of having clear boundaries means that the other person doesn't know when to push and not push. The other person doesn't know what's safe to go into. And then the person with the boundaries doesn't know how to negotiate any interactions because they're randomly getting upset at things as well, right?
I understand what you're saying about yourself.
Okay.
And I believe you.
But you don't think Shaylin has trouble asserting her boundaries?
Shaylin is not like you in this sense.
Okay.
I think you're assuming that Shaylin is trying to figure out what her boundaries are and
Yes.
then assert them. And that I don't believe that is happening. I believe that Shaylin and many of these other women that you and I come across and disagree about get a lot of power by not having boundaries and not asserting those boundaries. Because when you tell someone what your boundary, what you're not just saying everything on this side of the line is not okay. You're also saying everything on this side of the line is okay.
Yes.
And so all these other tools you have, like arguing and figuring things out and explaining and writing narratives and co-authoring narratives and problem solving and all these other ways that you exert power and get power in relationships and conversations. Shaylin, as you saw, Shaylin got angry and did use those. She does have those tools, but that's not where she gets most of her power. Shaylin gets her power from the dark arts. She's on the dark side. And when she so to me, things like setting so like lying and withdrawing, I would say those are dark side powers that you're using.
Sure.
Light side powers are more like setting boundaries, problem solving, arguing, saying what you want, being explicit and direct and above board. Shaylin gets a lot of her strength now from the dark side. So she does things like not setting boundaries, asking questions that make no sense, pretending to be confused,
Yeah, but like,
sobbing loudly from the other room.
Yeah, I agree. But like,
Okay.
sure. But
She's not trying to figure out what you're just assuming this like extremely well-intentioned like goal of hers, but she doesn't.
I'm not saying that there's like this intentional, like something that she said. So this is why I think that she is doing this. Is she made a statement when you guys were talking, saying that like, she feels like she has to do this. She feels like she has to make a decision, and you're like, and you don't know like why. Why do you feel that way? Like, it seems like you're asking her that. Like, what do you mean you have to do this? What do you think she means when she's saying that? Like, it feels like I have to do this. And you're like, no, you don't.
I think she is saying, in order to maintain the image that I want on your channel and with your fans.
No, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you think that, then there's like, because I'm interpreting everything both of you are saying in like the best light possible. But if you think she's just saying,
I know, no, you're interpreting everything she says in the best light possible.
no,
I'm telling
both of
this,
you, both of you. This would be a way different conversation if I was not being charitable to you as well. Okay.
She's a demon.
You're pretty demonic as well. If I was to interpret you, absolutely.
I don't think so.
Absolutely,
no.
For sure.
I'm an angel. No,
you're
I don't think so.
You're very charismatic. You have a really
Yes.
good way of spinning every single emotional complaint she makes into a hypothetical attack against you that then becomes an attack that you can use against her. And you constantly undermine her feelings by either saying that she doesn't truly believe the things she does for the reasons that she says she does, or that she's just using it to like control you. And then when she has an emotional outburst, you also assume that that's a form of manipulation, and then you manipulate her by pretending she's manipulating you. And then you bring it all back at the end with like either like a hug or something else, like, oh, look, we're good, it's cool, or whatever, right? These are all like theoretically, if I frame it that way, these are all theoretically like emotionally manipulative.
I guess, but it doesn't make any sense. Like you can do that, but it doesn't make any sense because she agreed to the plan immediately.
No, but
and
that's
without
like
complaint.
Do you understand? This is why I don't like conversation about rape. Okay, it's so easy to get people to do things that they don't want to do that they will agree to it. This is why I don't like the concept of like consent or even enthusiastic consent. There are so many things that you can get people to agree to without
Well,
them.
I agree with you. I agree with you there.
Yeah. So like,
But in this conversation, the conversation did not break down when I asked her the question. The conversation broke down when I would not let go of calling her controlling.
but her method of controlling was her trying to get some control over like her emotions in that situation and how you were engaging with them. That was where the
Yes,
control
and
was
the
coming
way
from.
she was trying to get control over that was by asking nonsensical questions.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if somebody is looking for, if we can, like,
that's my whole
let's-
problem.
Sure, but like, let's say instead we take a more impressionistic view of language and not like a discrete, like these are the words you're saying. It sounds like what she's saying there. She's not saying like, can we figure out the dates of the month that this would be the most adequate time for you to free use my body? What she's doing is like saying like, hey, okay, I think I can do this, but I feel like really emotional right now, and I want some sort of like emotional reassurance from you that we're like on the same page. That's what she's looking for. Yeah.
I know. We both understand that.
Then
but
why can't you just do that or give that to her?
Because I don't fucking want to. That's the whole thing I'm saying in the first place is I don't want to change my entire lens for looking at language to an impressionistic one so that I can squeeze some extra fucking charity juice out of myself to make it okay for you to underhandedly try to get me to reassure you
underhanded.
It is absolutely underhanded. It is absolutely underhanded to ask a fake question to get somebody to take care of you. I think it is completely underhanded, at least for me. Okay, so maybe
if I go to like a doctor, if I go to like a doctor, if I've got a thing coming up, right, and I'm sitting there and I ask something and I'm like, is this gonna hurt? What a fucking stupid question. Like, what like if you were a doctor, you would look at me and you would go, this is a fucking cancer biopsy, Steven. Is it gonna hurt? If I say yes, are you gonna fucking cancel the operation? You stupid fuck. Why would you even ask me? Such a waste of fucking time, right? That's the result. And I would say, okay, well, I was just like looking for a little bit of emotional reassurance. I'm sorry, right? That would be the issue.
I understand how to do what you're asking me to do.
Yeah, sure. You just are unwilling to.
I don't want to. I don't want to take care of Shaylin. I don't want to be her fucking doctor. I want to fuck her corpse. I don't want to be her doctor. The whole point of the conversation is I don't want to have to lie to you or manage you. I don't want to manage your feelings in this conversation. I don't want to manage them. One thing I've been saying to her a lot is when you want me to parent you, I need you to explicitly ask me to parent you. I don't want you to try to get me to.
Yeah, but even at that, you need to use
into it.
different words because nobody wants to feel like she's not really asking you to parent you. She's just asking for some help.
She is. No, it's
from
fine.
your perspective. But from other people's perspectives, they're going to say, I just want you to be a normal, caring partner has an investment in my feelings.
Fuck that. No, so I don't want appeals to normality. See, this is what I see in a lot of responses to this. I see people just being like, well, why can't you just be normal? And like, well, okay, being normal means the man just parents the woman. That's what you mean by normal. That's what the default is. And I don't want that. I don't want that for my relationship.
The reason why that's great. And I've said the exact same things to Melina. She'll say like, hey, like this is like a normal thing. Why can't you do this? And I'll say, well, if you want a normal thing, go find a normal guy because that's not what the fuck I'm here for. So I understand. I can empathize with you there. But You have to be aware of where the normal spectrum lies so that you can understand when you're making requests that are way outside the norm.
I absolutely I understand that I am making a request that is outside the norm, and when I say when my girlfriend wants me to become her dad, she has to actually know that that's what she is doing and say that. And
But
so if
that's
she had
such a
said in the conversation, if she had said in the conversation, "Hey, can you take care of me for a second? I feel freaked out about this." I might have said yes, or I might have said no. I would have been free to say no or yes, as I see fit. I would have been able to set my own boundaries. But by blurring her request and by saying, "No, you've already agreed to this. You've already agreed to take care of me. And the way I'm going to ask you is by asking stupid questions that make no sense and sobbing in the other room." No. Then I don't want to. I need explicitness.
Sure, I understand. I think that the realization that you have to have then is that what you're looking for, one, she might not be able to even rise to that standard. I don't even want to say
But
rise.
she did.
No, she
But
didn't.
she eventually did.
After crying in another room and
Yes.
trying to manipulate you.
Yes, if you want to, yes, she did a lot of horrible things that nobody's proud of in the conversation. But at the end of the conversation, I held my boundaries. I didn't rush to the other room and say, "Hey, eventually, she, was naked face down on the bed, just like I asked."
But I don't. If you were to ask her, does she think that there was a positive resolution to everything? Do you think she would say yes?
No, because I got what I want. I don't know what she would say.
Is there? Well, but isn't that like
feel so
important if you're
No, I'm so happy that I don't know what she would say. I feel so proud of myself that I can have my own narrative of what happened that is not dependent on hers, and she can have her own narrative.
Okay.
That's what I want. What I want is to just have something be for me.
Sure.
And the only way we can do that is if Shaylin delineates when something is for her. So she has to be more explicit about when something is for her and what role she wants me to play and what role she wants to play. And the more vague she is, the more power the underhanded person gets, and the less power the explicit person gets. I don't want her to derive power from being vague. It's a super bad idea, especially around sex.
I
But in
agree
general,
that it's a bad idea, but the problem isn't that she's intentionally trying to
You
manipulate
think she's not capable of anything? Well, she's gonna have.
Not
to.
right now. No, I don't think so. I think that there's a set of tools that she hasn't developed yet when it comes to establishing boundaries, and because of that, you're able to take advantage of her inability to do that. I think that's the issue.
Oh, you think she's taking advantage of me?
No, because in this situation, you said you got what you wanted at the end, so she wasn't here.
Yeah, after hours of what I think is abusive and coercive behavior, eventually she was able to have a explicit, direct conversation with me. Now, I'm not saying she has to be perfect. I am okay with her reaching for these dark side tools and me having to say, "Hey, I need you to stop doing that." And I'm okay with people thinking I'm a bad person. Well, I would rather they didn't, but I can withstand people thinking I'm a bad person or that I'm an abuser, because I don't want to engage with somebody using these manipulation tactics on me. But eventually, if I hold my ground long enough, eventually
she'll break down. She'll lose the ability to advocate for her own interests, and she'll acquiesce to whatever your demands are. Does that sound a little bit not good?
No, because my demand is just that she come up with an answer. I'm not asking her to acquiesce to my sex demands.
But that's what it feels like to her. That's why she's saying.
No, it's not. That's where you're wrong about.
But she was
Shaylin.
literally saying, she's saying, "You're pressuring me," and you're like, "How am I pressuring you?" She says, "You're trying to pressure me into doing what you want me to do." That's what she's saying. I wrote the quote down. But you're not really, right? You're not. You said you'd be happy with either answer, but she doesn't feel that way. That's the issue.
I understand. Right? I get what you're saying. When she says that, it's not true.
Okay.
It's just not true.
So she doesn't feel pressured at all. She's lying about that.
She may think she feels pressured. But,
okay, so she's lying to herself.
But if you look at her behavior through the conversation, the thing that makes her freak out is me saying, "I think you're being controlling. I think you're being abusive, and I need you to be explicit about what you are saying. I need you to either explicitly say yes, explicitly say no, explicitly say you want to have this conversation, explicitly say you don't want to have this conversation.
Why do you think
I even went as far as telling her exactly what she could say word for word to get out of the conversation.
Sure. When you said that she was upset, and that because you said that she was being controlling and abusive, why did that make her more upset? Why did she get really upset about that? Because
I'm taking her power away. When you call an abusive person abusive, you are demanding a transfer of power.
Yeah, let's
from them to
rephrase
you.
that a little bit more. Okay, taking the power. So you're making her feel powerless in this interaction, right?
Yeah, because a lot of
somebody
Shaylin's
claims
power,
that you're pressuring them, and now you are depriving them of any power or agency in an interaction. Of course,
no. That's I can understand that could be her feeling. If the only way
that's all that matters at the end of the day is how she feels.
If the only way you can express yourself is by throwing dishes at Melina, and then Melina says, "Stop throwing dishes at me," you may feel, "Oh, well, now you've rendered me entirely powerless because I can't talk about my feelings, I can't set boundaries, I can't negotiate with you, I can't be direct. All I have is this like plate of like spaghetti I was about to throw at you." Like, yes, I guess in a way she would be telling you have no power, but I think that's not a fair interpretation.
Yeah, but imagine if throwing dishes was the only tool that I had. Now it's a little. It sounds like a weird example. But
then
like,
here's
a question. Sure, here's a question. Let's say the only way I could get anything done is by screaming at people, right?
Yeah, and so eventually you may run into a partner who says like, "I need you to stop screaming at me," and if that's the only way you have of advocating for yourself.
But if we have
you're not going to be able to advocate for yourself.
If you have a literal baby and all they know is to scream, you work
Shaylin
around that,
is
right?
not my child.
She's
not my
not,
patient.
but if she doesn't have the tools necessary to firmly establish a boundary and then talk around it, then all you're kind of doing is like taking away the only bit, like you're duct taping a baby's mouth shut and saying, figure out another way to do this.
I'm not duct taping a baby's mouth shut by asking my adult girlfriend to learn how to set boundaries like a fucking normal.
If you want her to learn
adult.
how to set boundaries, then you don't figure that out in the middle of a negotiation about things that the boundaries would be about.
So what are you suggesting I do? I say like, you're asking me to drop my boundaries, and I don't want to.
I'm saying send her to therapy or something. Go to therapy.
Okay, but in the meantime, yes, we're starting couples therapy.
Cool.
In the meantime, you're suggesting I just drop my. I'm saying she was breaking my boundaries in the conversation repeatedly. That every time we hit a snag, it's because I'm saying I don't want to communicate this way, and I won't.
You can't aggressively assert a boundary like that and say that my boundary is that when we're discussing something that I want, you're not allowed to obfuscate with questions. That's not a boundary.
No,
you have like a force field that's going into their brain. Okay.
No. That's not the boundary. She can do that, but I am going to then derail the conversation and only talk about it until she stops. So I'm saying I won't participate in the conversation. I won't participate in a conversation where you're saying, I don't know if I want to be talking about this. I'm not sure. That is going to break the negotiation then stopped. There was no more talk about sex after that. Then the only conversation we can have is, well, are you in the conversation or are you out? Or are you making a power play by having one foot out the door? And if it's that one, that's all we're going to talk about for the rest of the conversation. I refuse to budge. Wait, stop. You agree? You admit that this is me setting a boundary. I'm not reaching into her brain. I'm just saying I am going to flail and not fucking move an inch until you stop doing this.
It feels like you're the one that's more emotionally composed than the other in this situation, and the other person is flailing. And every time they're trying to they're like sliding off a mountain, trying to grab a ledge, and every time they grab something, you're like, "That's abuse. That's controlling. You're gaslighting." And it's like the other person isn't trying to do that. They're just trying to get their footing somewhere.
That's how all abusers feel.
She's not the abuser in this interaction. You're the one making the ask.
She is the abuser.
I think that you're the one making the ask for something that's making her uncomfortable for some reason, and you have to figure out why.
Abusers, okay, having been abusive in various interactions, I know what it feels like when you resort to an abusive tactic.
Sure.
I've been abusive with Shaylin recently. Like, I've screamed at Shaylin.
But I
know that when I'm doing that, I feel like I'm sliding down a mountain and grabbing on to whatever I can.
I think that there's a difference.
Mean it doesn't make it not abuse.
I think there's a difference between an abusive tactic that somebody uses to get control of themselves or to feel like they have presence in a situation versus an abusive tactic somebody might use to get something out of somebody else, right?
I don't know if that's true. I think, in my experience, every time I've never screamed at a girlfriend to try to make them do something. I'm always screaming at them to try to get some semblance of control. It's out of fucking panic. It's not out of like, you better fucking lie still for me, you little bitch. That's not the emotion I'm
Here's
feeling.
let's say Melina really wants to get dinner at a place. Okay, I really want to go to Fogo de Chao. And I'm like, Melina, we're not going to Fogo de Chao. I don't feel like spending $200 on dinner. And then she starts sobbing and crying. Okay, this is a little bit abusive. What the fuck, dude? Are you serious? We're gonna do this, right? Okay. Let's say that it's a different relationship, and I beat the shit out of her every time I lose a game of League. Okay, so she's getting beat up a lot. Okay. Let's say that one day I come walking out of my room and I look like I've been playing League, but I haven't. I've been playing a different game, so I'm not a miserable fuck. But she sees me, and as soon as she sees me, she starts like crying to get me to feel bad. Like, is she technically being abusive there by trying to manipulate me with her emotions? A little bit, but it's way different than the Fogo de Chao thing, right? Like, there's a difference between being reactive in terms of how you're retreating in a conversation in an underhanded manner versus like proactively trying to get something, elicit something, extract something from somebody else. I think these are fundamentally different. And to call all of it abusive, I think misses the point of what's actually happening. We're missing what's going on in the interaction. Like, if Shaylin were to come to you and she were to be like, hey, like, I really want to peg you tomorrow. And you were like, I don't know. And she's like, okay, this is bullshit. Like, you're not hearing me. I don't feel seen. Blah, blah. And you're like, well, she's like, no, I don't know. Right?
I would never react that way.
That's great. Hold on. I don't care how you would react. But I'm just saying, in that case, if she was using the same tactics, but she was making the big ask, then I'd say like, okay, yeah, this is like pretty shitty or abusive. I could see that.
Okay, but that's not what happened though. The analogy would be if I said, yes, you can peg me tomorrow. I just want to ask you though, what time tomorrow? And she's like, well, it's not, I'm just trying to ask you if I can peg you tomorrow. And I'm like, well, what time would it be at? And I get this like very frantic, like, I just want to know what time. Is it too much to ask to just know what time it's going to be tomorrow? And then she's like, well, I feel like you're kind of making this about you now, where you're acting as though you're really concerned about what time it's going to be, as if that's like, would it make a difference what time it was? And I'm like, no. It wouldn't make a difference. And she's like, okay, well then I feel like you're kind of being controlling by asking this. And I'm like, how is this controlling? And then I run to the other room and start crying. That would be the analogy. You keep acting like she said she wasn't sure. But she did not freak out until I said,
she doesn't seem to be sure. She might not have said she wasn't sure, but all of her emotional languages, all of her body language and nonverbal cues are like saying a different story, right?
I think you have a highly charitable read of her body language, and that you think she's unsure about the sex, and I think she's unsure about saying things are okay, making agreements, sticking to things, losing the power of ambiguity and vagueness. Losing the power of being able to say retroactively, you know what, I wasn't okay with any of this. Wow. I retroactively do not consent to everything that you and I just did, and therefore you're the abuser. Which is the entire thing I'm trying to get away from. This feeling of never knowing if the rug of me being allowed to do what I'm doing is going to be pulled out from underneath me.
Okay. Well,
she gets a lot of power from having her hands on that rug.
I need to moderate a conversation between you and her. Okay, I'm so curious what it would look like.
I know. So when you see her waffling and like, oh, I don't know if I want to do the sex act, I see her hands reaching for the edge of that rug. She's getting it nice and taut, and she's getting ready to yank it. And so I'm doing everything I can to prevent her from doing that. I'm like, I'm like, okay, if you don't want to be if you don't want to be in the video, then walk away. You don't have to be in the video.
I'm negotiating a sex act with somebody, and they feel like they're on the other end of it, or they're waffling. I would just interpret that as like a no. Like, if you're uncomfortable, then clearly something.
She didn't waffle about the sex act.
But she was asking all these questions about it and everything, which makes it
That's not waffle. I know. Again, you interpret that as waffling. Mm-hmm. I interpret. If just look at it from my point of view. It's fine if you don't agree with me. Okay. But do you see how if I feel like Shaylin is preparing the following power moves, I never really agreed to this. I never agreed to this conversation. Mm-hmm. You sprung this conversation on me. You won't tell me the details of what happened. And any one of these can be used to pull the rug out from underneath me and say, you say basically you raped me.
I mean, what it sounds like to me is what she's saying is that like I love you. I want to make you happy. I do want to do the sex act. I just want to make sure this other shit is like taken care of so that I'm like emotionally.
She's the devil, and you just don't see it. If you saw it the way I see it, can you see how in that conversation then every time I see her reaching for the rug, I'm just trying to keep her hands off it. I'm saying, if you don't want to be in the conversation, then just walk out. If you don't want to do
but
this
she
sex
doesn't
thing
want to
with,
do that because she loves you.
if you don't want to do the sex thing with me, then just say no. If you want to talk about it more later, then say, let's talk about this later. What else can we talk about? If you want to walk out of the room, walk out of the room. You have all the power as long as you do it explicitly. But what you can't do is be passive and vague and then pull the rug out from underneath me and say that I forced you to do something. That's the only thing I'm trying to prevent her from doing in the entire conversation. And I think I did a pretty good job.
Okay. Well, when are we getting Shaylin on here, Max?
I think I have to protect her from the masses.
Really? Well, then why are you putting her videos?
Because I'm a bad person. No, because I think it's different. Because in a video, I can control what happens. I can edit it. I can.
It feels weird that because both of us right now have a different interpretation of her internal emotional state. And
yes. Well, Shaylin's not the best at interpreting her emotional state anyway.
No, but I feel like
You're
Shaylin would have an interesting perspective on Shaylin's internal emotional state. Worth considering.
She would,
maybe.
but that's I am going to protect her from live streaming.
Okay. Gotcha. Well,
also, even if she comes on and agrees with me, you're not gonna be like, I stand corrected. You're just gonna say like, oh, well, I guess he got to you.
No, I would be super interested. There are tons of things that she could say that would dramatically change the way that I view the situation. That's absolutely possible. Like she might say, like she could come on and she could say, I have a lot of personal problems sometimes setting boundaries. Like I have no problem doing things with Max. Sometimes I get nervous and I just ask stupid fucking questions that don't matter in a week anyway. And then when we get around to things, none of it ever mattered. But I don't know why I just have a habit of doing dumb shit. Like if she said some shit like that, I'm like, okay, maybe I do dumb shit. I give really good advice on my stream and I follow none of it. Okay, I have a whole bunch of problems in my relationships where I just do dumb shit. So I could believe that people fuck up and do things. She could also say other things though that would reinforce my view. Where she's like, I don't actually like any of these sex acts at all, but I super love Max and I feel like when he talks to me, he's always on the verge of getting super pissed off at me. That anytime I try to get any clarification on anything ever, he gets really mad. So I feel like I have to talk around it just to get some emotional reassurance because I can't ask for it directly or talk about the act directly, and then that leads to him getting she could say that and I'd be like, okay.
But she would be so stupid if she said. I mean,
no, she wouldn't be. She would just be expressing her emotions.
But that would be so stupid because I'm literally telling her if you just say explicitly what you're feeling or what you want, then we'll be fine.
Yeah, but
the thing
it doesn't.
I'm getting mad about is that you're being underhanded.
People aren't computers. You don't input code and get out a reliable response every single time, right? We work on way more abstract levels than that. Most people do. It's the more human thing to do.
I think you're too charitable to women.
It's not to women. It's to people. I do this dumb shit.
I think you're too charitable to women.
How? Why?
See, people keep saying it's because you're a coomer or it's because you're trying to fuck Brittany Simon or something. I think that's stupid. Obviously, I don't think you're trying to fuck Brittany Simon.
Okay.
I just think you're too charitable to women.
I'm charitable to everybody. I'm being very charitable to you in this conversation.
Yeah, but you're not being too charitable to me.
I'm being very charitable to you. If I wanted to, I could have a Vosh conversation with you where I just call you an abuser and hang up.
Wait, but is that what you think?
There's a chance you could be, but I'm not leading into that as much.
Wait, but what do you think? What do you actually think?
I think I've told you what. I think that... What's the nicest way I could say this? I think that some people have...
No, I don't want you to say it in the nicest way. I want to know what you actually think. Sure. What are you going to...
I think that some people are charismatic and they know how much they can get or push other people into agreeing with, and that I think that some people can unhealthily thrive in the ambiguity of other people's personal boundaries. I used to do this in my early 20s. If I knew that somebody was waffling on something, I can always put a foot in there and force you into a position. Very, very, very easy to do that. I don't do this anymore, but I understand that feeling of if you're undecided, I will make the decision for you, and I know I can do that. And that's a thing that people do. And when I watch you and Shaylin interact sometimes, Shaylin's boundaries and borders seem very, very ill-defined sometimes. And you can very much step a foot in and go, this is where your boundary is going to be. If you don't like it, tell me that you fucking hate me. You don't hate me? You do love me, right? This is your boundary. Stop being stupid. Boom, boom, boom. That's the feeling that I get when I watch you interact.
I feel like you're conflating two things.
You're
conflating me saying what her boundary should be with me telling her she has to have one. if I was trying to just talk her into having doll sex with me once a month, when she asks what day of the month how we're counting it, wouldn't I just say, well, however you want to count it?
When you,
Like if I'm trying to get the goal, if that's my goal, wouldn't I just say, yeah, let's do it by calendar month?
Yeah, but you won't say that because you feel like she's playing a game and you don't want to play it, right?
Okay, so then the thing I'm trying to get her to do is be explicit and set.
Yeah, but here's what I'm not
specific.
sure because of the power dynamics of the relationship. Because I don't know. I don't see enough, right? This is why I'm honest. I don't go on stream like, oh, I know he's abusive, because I don't know. I really. But it could be the case that, and I don't know your history. Yeah. Maybe she's asserted a certain boundary in the past that's really angered you. And maybe she actually does super love you or is infatuated with you or whatever. And she's worried that if she asserts a boundary that you don't like, you're going to react negatively. And that's where she says, like, you're pressuring me. Even though from your perspective, you're not pressuring her at all. I'm not trying to pressure you to say that. Just pick something, right?
But what do you think? What do you, or are you saying you don't know?
I can only give you, like, degrees of probability. Like, the wave function doesn't collapse until I talk to her. I just told you, like, in terms of what, or which part?
I don't know. What do you think of me in this situation?
My thoughts don't crystallize until I get more information. It's hard to say.
Okay.
It looks kind of abusive, but I don't know. But I don't have enough information. You guys have been together for what, like 7 years or some shit. So.
Okay. So I think you're too charitable to women.
Okay. Maybe.
And not in the sense of I think you are purposefully taking a charitable view of them. I'm saying I think your actual views of women are too charitable.
When you say charitable, what you really mean is like infantilizing or something, right? Or what do you mean by that?
I think the part where whenever you create a metaphor to compare my relationship to Shaylin is that she's like a baby or with duct tape over her mouth, or she's like a doctor's patient. I think that's kind of infantilizing. Not necessarily that you're infantilizing women, but that you just seem to take it for granted that like I should be parenting her. So I guess that's kind of infantilizing, but it's more like
well, I guess when I see
it's like you don't want to just tell her like, well, fucking grow up.
Yeah, there's like, I guess when I see a dynamic where one person appears to be far more aggressive and confident, and the other person is a little bit more wavery, I tend to, if this is the totality of like a person's boundaries, like this, and they're like wavering like here, I'll instantly assume it's like all the way on the other end, because I'll grant that, because like it could be, and I don't want to force somebody to agree to something or do something where they're not 100% like with both feet in the water or whatever. So it looks charitable, I guess, but
well, you're very charitable about the intentions of women.
Not necessarily. What do you mean? I think we actually both
I'm
agree on her
I make
attention.
a whole video. Okay, we agree that Shaylin is manipulative and trying to get power, and that's
exactly what I was going to say. She is absolutely trying to get power. I just don't agree that that's always a bad thing. If somebody feels powerless in an interaction, I would expect them to try to get power. That makes sense. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. And if somebody is constantly vying for power, then there's two possibilities. Either one, they're an abuser or a predator and they're trying to gain an unhealthy power dynamic, or two, they feel powerless in an exchange and they're trying to at least feel heard or seen.
I think those are the same. I think that's
they're totally different.
I think that's exactly what abusers and predators are.
Okay.
People who feel powerless, who cannot feel powerful via normal means, and so they resort to the dark arts.
I disagree, but
manipulators. Well, I mean, if you could get all the same power by not being manipulative, why wouldn't you just do that?
Well, because you're talking about a fully fleshed out, fully matured person that's able to establish health. Like this is like fucking probably less than like 2% of people on the planet are capable of like setting and respecting and having like super strong boundaries and doing that in the middle of disagreement. It's a really difficult skill to pick up. Like, you have to be very deliberate about it.
It's a spectrum.
Sure, and Shaylin is obviously pretty far down on that spectrum in the opposite way that she should be.
Yes. I guess I think the way you frame it enables her to stay there.
It's
by
not
being
that I'm
like, I should
enabling.
just pick up the slack instead of just being like, well, yeah, we're gonna have an impact. Anytime she says the only way I'll interact with you is in a way that you think is abusive.
Well, that's because
then like I'm
talking
then,
to
like,
you
we're-
right now. I'm telling you
But
all.
why
the
should I pick up the slack? Why aren't you saying?
Because you can't. Because I'm not talking to her. If I was talking to
should be
her,
proud of me.
if I was talking to her, my conversation would have nothing to do with your actions. My conversation with her would be like, hey, you need to figure out your boundaries way better before you engage in a conversation with Max. You need to figure out like what's okay and what's not okay. You need to be able to communicate with him in a language that he understands. You have to like, if you feel yourself getting emotionally dysregulated, pull back from the circumstance, take an hour, and then come back. That would be my suggestions to her. Right, but I'm not talking to her. I'm talking to you.
Not an hour of sobbing loudly. A silent hour.
Well, it depends on how upset she is, right?
I guess, my problem is that you're asking me to enable her, and you're saying because you're saying it's bad to have conflict. Almost, it's like you're saying,
no, what?
Like I think you should be proud of me. I think you should be saying, wow. She would really threw everything she could at you in a video. You know you're going to publish to the internet, so you know it's going to make you look terrible. She did every manipulation tactic that you were calling her out on, and you still didn't give in. You didn't break, Max. You were strong. You did something today for men all across the world, and just people, but especially men. You did not cave. You did not say, "Oh, okay, if you want me to parent you, you need me to parent you, but you won't say it. Fine, I'll be your daddy. I'll just be your default, emotional regulator and processor whenever you need me to be." You didn't do that, Max. You didn't give in. You held your ground. That's great. Allow there to be an impact. Allow her. So what if she has to run out of the room screaming? let her do that. What's important is that you held your boundaries. You're not saying that. You're saying like, oh, you should have dropped your. Did you see how much she was crying, Max? Did you see how loud she was sobbing? You should have dropped your boundaries. Lower your standards so that Shaylin meets them whenever she's going to freak out. That's why she's freaking out, because she wants me to. I literally said to her, when she was crying, I said, "You're still trying to pressure me into doing what you want me to do," and she said, "Yes."
Okay,
I should get a fucking medal.
Okay, here's like my question. Okay, or let me give you a scenario. I'm just curious. Okay, we'll say I'm on Tinder talking to a girl. We agree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come over at 9:00. We're gonna have sex at 9:05. We talk about it. That's the agreement. It's been like, yeah, come over. We'll chat for 5 minutes. We're going to have sex at 9:05. You're going to be gone by, 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever. It's like, okay, cool. Got it. Boom. Let's say that I drive over there. I arrive. 8:58, okay? Get up the door. Open it. We get inside and we start chatting for a bit. And we both get naked. Let's say that she's sitting on the bed and it's 9:05, okay? And let's say that she seems like a little bit nervous or fidgety. And she's like, hey, do you think we can chat for like 5 or 10 more minutes? Like, what is your response in that scenario?
Either yes or no.
Do you ever bring up the fact that like, hey, you already agreed to this at 9:05? Like, why are you changing it? Why do you want to chat for what are 5 or 10 more minutes of talking going to change?
Maybe if I felt like she's saying like, I feel weird about you, or I feel uncomfortable with you. If that made me uncomfortable, I might say why. Yeah, I could ask that.
And then what if she doesn't have a good answer? She's like, well, I want to chat for like 5 or 10 more minutes. Is that okay? I guess like what the point that I'm getting at is it seems like people aren't always great at expressing themselves. I don't think you're necessarily treating them like a retarded child to say like, hey, well, let's figure out like what's going on, right? I think it's okay to try to take a step back and figure out like, well, emotionally, it seems like something is incongruent with what you've told me. Yeah.
But I don't have to have sex with her. That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm okay with showing up.
You literally started off this video with Shaylin though by saying you have to have sex with me, right? Like,
well, I didn't mean right now. I mean eventually we have to have
sure,
sex.
but it's the same thing, right? Like you're saying
no,
that,
it's not the same thing. Showing up at somebody's house on a Tinder date on a one night stand is not the same thing as being in a long-term sexual relationship with somebody.
Yeah, Shaylin feels like there's a non-negotiable kind of on the table that she's trying to like.
There is. Right? We have to have sex. Eventually, we have to have sex. That's a fact of romantic relationships. If you don't, then your relationship is no longer romantic, or you break up. But in order to have an ongoing sexual relationship, you have to have sex.
Sure, I agree with
eventually.
That. Yeah, of course. Okay. We both
okay, so that's all
true.
I was saying. I was saying like
sure, but the framing of it that way, and then like the pushing.
Well, I think it's important to acknowledge like that she feels raped just by virtue of being in a relationship.
Does she
I think we both do.
I don't know if she.
No, I was saying that. I was saying I think we both should acknowledge that there's an unfortunate thing about being like freaked out by sex and being in a relationship is that we are forced to have sex with each other eventually. You
Well,
have
you're
to have
not
sex
forced
with
to because you could also just end the relationship, right?
Yes, that's what I think that was implied. Of yeah, obviously you can leave, but I'm saying if you're with me, you have to have sex with me.
Isn't that kind of a manipulative tactic, or no? Like, we have to do this or the relationship ends? Don't people use that sometimes to manipulate each other, or?
No, I wasn't saying we have to have sex in this way or
Well, but
the
we have
relationship
to.
way.
Sure, okay. All right. Is there anything else you want to go over? Or go for it?
The implication of the Tinder story is that you're just not okay with things being derailed. And I think that you lose a lot of power if you're not okay. Like Trump says, the biggest power is the power to walk away. And like if you don't like the questions the person's asking, you don't like what they're saying, then like yeah, I don't have to have sex with this person just because I said I would. I can have an impasse with them. I can say, oh, you know what? The way you're saying you want to talk for 5 minutes makes me think that you're just another one of these controlling women who's going to string me along until you decide you want to have sex. What's the whole point of setting a time if you're going to tell me that if you're going to just change the time? Like, no, I prepared myself for this. So if you don't want to have sex now, then we're not having sex. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing for me to say.
Okay.
The classic Destiny okay.
It means I disagree with you, but I'm done fighting over it.
I know.
But
I know what it means.
is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
I'm supposed to moderate a conversation scene between you and Eurodite. Is that happening?
Yeah. I said it felt a little too similar. Yeah, speaking of women you're too charitable towards. I said it felt a little too similar to the Britney conversation, so I feel like we should wait a little bit. But yeah, right? Do you want to? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. You were very uncharitable towards her. Holy shit. So yeah, I think it'd be.
You're too
but
charitable.
I'm too charitable.
You're too charitable to women.
Well,
You gotta hold their feet to the fire, Steven.
I'll do a better job, okay?
I'm gonna help you with this. It's really gonna be it'll look like a moderated conversation between me and Erudite, but it's really gonna be me doing an intervention with you, and I'm gonna show you how to hold a woman accountable for her actions.
Okay. I'm just there to moderate the conversation. She's a smart woman. She can talk for herself. Or maybe that's just me being charitable towards her. I don't know.
Yeah, I never said she wasn't smart. She's very smart. That's
In a
not the
demonic
problem.
kind of way, you know?
She's controlling.
What,
When I say
Hold
control,
on,
I mean underhanded. I'll
course.
start saying underhand. I'm fine with Shaylin. You saw Shaylin get mad. Like she could be very controlling. Like when she's mad, that's fine. I don't mind her being controlling. It's underhanded.
I'm asking a question because I'm seeing this in chat. I don't know if this is true or not. People are making up lies, maybe. Somebody said, Mr. Girl literally doesn't allow Shaylin to have a cell phone or use the internet without Mr. Girl's consent. Is that true? Max.
Are you really asking me that?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, I want you to decide if you're actually asking me that.
I could see Max answering either way. I could see you saying on one hand, obviously she has a cell phone and access to the internet. It would be crazy for her not to. That would actually be insane for me to limit that. And then on the other hand, I could see you saying, I've been doing the online content world for quite a while. I don't think Shaylin could handle what she sees on the internet. I don't know if she has the responsibility to manage herself.
That's right. She has to be protected from the outside world.
She has to be protected from the crazy people online.
From her friends, from her family, her therapist.
Okay.
She can't talk to anybody.
So she at least has a limited cell phone plan, is what we're saying.
I guess she can call me.
Okay. McAfee free antivirus. Way to go, dipshit. That was the guy in chat that said that.
Okay, so it feels like you're saying that you're willing to believe all kinds of things about me. If you, how would I restrict her from having a phone? It's not fucking Saudi Arabia.
I have no
How would
idea.
I stop?
How would you
I
post
even
videos of her
accomplish this?
online when she's saying, I don't want this posted online? I don't fucking know. I don't know
That's
your
a
guys'
good question.
relationship. Yeah, I don't know what your relationship is like. My ability to judge character comes from the fact that I'm willing to reserve judgment until I've seen a lot of shit. A lot of people will make snap judgments about people, but I keep an open mind. There's a lot of things that you could be, but I'm not going to be charitable and say, well, I think Max is a great person. I don't think he's ever mean, blah, blah. But I'm not going to be like an asshole and say like, oh, well, I think he does these horrible things. But there's like,
But Brittany
there's a
Simon
whole-
and Not So Erudite and Shaylin of all fucking people, you're willing to say. Shaylin is the one who doesn't let me.
Here,
have
wait, hold on.
access
Let
to
me be
it.
very clear. Here's what I say about you, Brittany, Erudite. Okay, what I say is you guys are very interesting. I enjoy my conversations with you.
I know what you say.
That's what I say. I don't sign off on any
I
of
know
you.
what you say.
I don't sign off on any of you as human beings. I just say that you guys are really interesting. I like talking to you. That's my fun part.
Not signing off on me as a human being is different from leaving the door open that maybe I don't allow my girlfriend to have a phone.
Why would I? Do you think that I have enough information to 100% or 95% make a statement in those regards?
I think you have enough information. I don't know how good you are at synthesizing that information. Are you saying you're a bad judge of character?
No, I think a really good judge of character.
So if you're a good judge of character- if you're such a good judge of
reasons
character-
because I'm willing to reserve judgment until I've seen a lot. Until then, I
Because
give
you're a
everybody
good judge of
opportunity to-
character. You're a good judge of character by not even being a judge of character. Is that what
Exactly.
you're saying?
Because anybody that
see.
thinks that they can come to 100% conclusive things about a person's personality or character with a few online conversations, I've never met you in real life, is fucking delusional. I'm too
I
old
think-
for that. I've been in real life too long for that. And anybody that says otherwise is lying to themselves or lying to everybody else. Absolutely.
Do you think you're good at knowing when people are lying to you
It's going to depend on the topic. But-
interpersonally?
I think generally, but it's going to depend on that's going to be so context dependent. But generally,
I think when people say good judge of character, I'm angry. I'm angry at you. I'm
Good.
angry
Be
that you're
angry.
asking me. I'm angry that you're.
yeah, I'm Lauren
asking me if
Southering
I
you,
allow-
where you're like,
if
do you
I-
really think I like kids? Is that what's happening right now? That's what you're. Yeah, go for it.
No,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not lying.
No, I'm not.
So that's not, you're not Lauren Southerning me.
Oh,
Lauren
okay.
Southern was lying.
Oh,
You're not lying.
okay.
I'm angry that you genuinely don't know if I allow my girlfriend to have a phone.
Given the content of yours that I've consumed, and given the totality of your online presence,
The totality.
if it came out that that was the case, do you think that most reasonable people would be like, oh my God, Mr. Girl doesn't like his girlfriend like on someone's channel? I had no, that's crazy. I would have never guessed that. I think the reaction would be like, yeah, you know, it's possible, right?
I don't think that's reasonable. No.
Okay, maybe. I think that with the character that I project online, not the character, my personality is relatively atypical in a lot of ways. If it came out that like I like murdered my girlfriend or something, or I don't know, I'm trying to think of something like this. I can understand. It might be frustrating to me because I feel misunderstood. But I understand a lot of people being like, yeah, no shit. Like he shouts at her on stream, he makes jokes about killing people all the time. Like he's
they're not
talking about killing
reasonable.
people. What?
That's not a reason. You said most reasonable people.
I can understand it. I think a reasonable person could be like, oh yeah, sure, yeah.
I think it's an unreasonable estimation of your character to think that you're going to kill your girlfriend or wife.
I mean, I would hope that most people think that, but like, depending on like what people see, the shades of you that you see online, the shades that are seen of you online, people's perceptions of that, and how normal people act versus how somebody like me, or maybe even somebody like you might act. I think that there are a lot of possible actions that I could do that wouldn't surprise the internet.
I think that me saying I need you to set clear boundaries with me and stand up for yourself and stop acting like a child does not translate in the mind of a reasonable person to you're not allowed to have a phone.
That's
Those
not
are-
what. If
those
that,
are
if that's what,
diametrically
yeah.
opposed.
I agree, but that first thing never happened. Whatever you just talked about was a fantasy in your mind. What you were
You
doing
don't-
is
you
you were
don't think
those
that-
statements that you were making coincided with you pushing aggressively for an action that she
Tell me,
seemed to
you
be
caught me in a fucking
uncomfortable
nuke
with,
when I wasn't
to be able
insulting
to
you.
have
Holy fucking shit, are you?
to be able to have some sort of sexual interaction with her.
How
that-
did I push aggressively for that?
Because you literally said that at the end of a conversation where she was like sobbing for a few minutes in the other room, you still got that win. And then when I asked you further, like, how do you?
Wait, no. How?
And then you said
I
you didn't
got
care
it.
how she felt about it. You're like, oh, I don't care if she felt okay or not.
I said I don't want to be my responsibility.
That's fine. But I'm just saying that, like,
How did
given
I
the-
How did I aggressively push for it?
I would argue that anytime you're trying to get a concession out of somebody that's highly emotional and you continue to push for that concession, it's a pretty aggressive action.
When did I even continue to push for the concession?
The fact that you would even still entertain the possibility of what you were going for once she's already gotten emotional, started crying.
Okay, so now we're saying that if I ask Shaylin for something and she starts crying
Yep.
and I still even allow her to consent, then I'm aggressively pushing for it.
Yes, I would say so.
Can we invent a new category for that is not lumped in with me saying, like, if I
I
said,
don't think it's
wait
rape.
a
I'm not saying anything like that. It's not like rape or anything.
I'm not saying it's rape. I'm not saying you're saying it's rape. I'm saying if I said, hey, wait a second, you're crying and I still haven't gotten my answer. I need you to do this for me. Remember, we're going to break up if we don't do this. I need this from you. You have to do this. Wouldn't that be aggressively pushing? Like, but you're saying that even allowing her to continue the conversation with me, this is why I'm saying that it's too...
But it's not even like allowing her to continue, right? She like it's at a couple
Like,
points she exited
I'm
or wanted to exit
aggressively
the
push-
conversation, right? Like it's pretty
No, I
aggressive.
said, do you want to exit the conversation? You can exit the conversation whenever you want. I wasn't even aggressively pushing for that. The only thing I was pushing for is, I need you to decide if you want to have the conversation. I need you to decide. I need you to be explicit about what you're saying. I never aggressively pushed her for any sex thing at all. All I did was ask her.
Okay. I understand your perspective because you feel like you're saying all the right words. But I guess
But I
there's, just
don't
like, there's a lot of
understand- I don't-
emotional subtext that I would like. If I here's like a thing.
But
If
you're
I
asking
was,
me.
yes,
you're
I'm asking you to
me
read
be
that.
tuned in.
Yes, I am.
You're
Yes, yes.
And so
I
that is
am.
our central disagreement.
I understand, but
Our
like if I
central
like again,
disagreement
if I meet
that you
if
think-
I meet a person, we've talked about fucking, we've figured all the boundaries, and I meet them in real life, and they seem a little bit iffy, and then maybe even we go to do it, like wait, hold on, I need a moment, and they like start crying a little bit. Chances are we're not having sex at all that night. I don't care. I don't care if they stop and they're like, okay, I think I'm okay now or whatever. Like it's probably like, okay, let's just take a step back. But if you like, if you're like, okay, are you done crying now? Can we keep going? Can we like that feels a little bit aggressive to me.
That's not a fair analogy. I didn't say, "Are you done crying now? Can we keep going?"
No, but kind of.
I said what
You
I would
kept-
say in
you
that
kept doing the
situation.
conversation
What I
when she
said in
was
that
emotional,
situation
no?
is, I would say, I need you to figure out what's going on, and I need you to make up your mind.
But like, wouldn't the more
A wise man once said that if you need somebody else to figure out your sexual boundaries for you, you're acting like a retarded child.
for sure.
Where's the omni-liberal when I fucking need him?
If I told you if I was having a conversation with Shaylin, my advice would be
Yes.
geared towards her, and I would be very critical of her actions. But I'm not talking
But I
to
want,
Shaylin.
but I want Shaylin to change.
That's great, but you can't change somebody that you're negotiating against. That's the issue, right?
Well, I want our dynamic to change, and
Yeah,
so
but
all I
you
can
wanted
do
to
is
change.
play
But you have to understand, on your end of the negotiation, you only care about Max. It's not your job to change her to better suit you. That's the issue.
Well, I want to change.
Do you?
Yes, just not in the direction you seem to fucking want me to. But I want to change in the opposite direction. I want to be less the way you're telling me to be.
Well,
You have
okay,
the
if that's the
opposite- you
case,
have the-
then what I would say, oh no, so you want to be even more aggressive, or not aggressive, but more, whatever Max.
I want
is.
to be more me. I want to be more me. I want to be more. I want to advocate for myself better. I want to be me. I don't want to be a hybrid of me and Shaylin, and while Shaylin just gets to be Shaylin. I want to be me. I don't want to be her parent. I don't want to be a parent of everybody. I just want to be me, and I want to be able to advocate for my own interests. And you're saying that I have to be so tuned into her that if I detect any hesitation or discomfort, that I'm basically forcing it on her if I don't immediately like withdraw my request, as if she's a retarded child.
We should all treat each other like retarded children, Max.
You're not treating me like a retarded child.
Yeah, I am. That's not why I'm not screaming at you that you're an abuser. You're only upset because you're trying to push me to give a concrete declaration of your character. I don't really know you well enough to do that. I would never like there are a ton of stories because of the type of person and because of the type of person I am as well. There is a ton of stories that could be released about either of us, where any reasonable person could look at it and go, yeah, sure. Like if a story got released tomorrow, I like shooting. I just recently like trap shooting. It's a lot of fun. If a story got released tomorrow that Destiny was at a range and he said to the person next to you, wow, you're black just like your gun, and then they got into a scuffle and Destiny shot and killed him, I think a lot of people could read that and be like, you know what? I think Destiny could say some dumb shit like that. Now, personally, I would never say anything so stupid, and it would bother me even think.
I know that.
You don't know that. You don't know me well enough.
I do know that.
You don't know that. You're being too charitable to me. You're being too charitable to me. I'm telling you that.
No, I'm being too charitable maybe to my own judge of other people's characters.
Okay, some people do that. But I'm just saying that, like, there is some dumb shit that people could say about me that I think even somewhat. Book Smarts, we got into an issue where he was like, Destiny was in a restaurant and he said the N-word really loudly and there was like black people there or whatever. And it's like, and there were a lot of people around. It's like, yeah, Destiny, I guess he could say something. Like, he seems really crazy. It's like, no, what the fuck? No. But like, I mean, given like how edgy I am online and everything, I could see, it sucks, but I could see some people saying that. I'm just saying that, like, yeah, having like a really good judge of character. I don't know if I ever told you this. I think I have. My requirement for a good judge of character is that I've been through something where somebody is tested where they have to make a hard decision. One where they could either throw me under the bus, or one where they have to make a sacrifice to choose to do something, and then I see them choose otherwise. Because when it comes to streamers, 99% of the times, the choices that we make are not only the best for our careers and financially viable, they're also like the choices that end up being the things that work well in life. Like, people will be like, oh my god, like, it's so brave that this guy had a really difficult conversation with his mom on stream. I was like, yeah, I guess, but I also got paid a lot of money for it. I got a lot of hits on my YouTube for it. Like, that wasn't a hard decision, like, there's a lot of choices that people make that kind of seem hard, but they're always like super beneficial. This is my big criticism of like Hassan and Vosh. People are like, look at how committed they are to their causes. They did big fundraisers. Yeah, because they can show how much clout they have with a dollar amount. Yeah, because they get a ton of viewership doing it. These aren't hard choices to make. A hard choice would be donating $50,000 of your own cash. That would be a kind of a hard choice, right? But that's all I'm saying. I haven't been in a situation with you where I've seen you have to make a really difficult choice, because that's where I can divine somebody's character. Now I see what kind of person you are. It's not like a personal insult or anything. It's just like reality, right? In my opinion. So I don't think you're a horrible person or a bad person, but I don't know if you're a good person, because I'm honest.
I know.
Sure. Maybe someday we'll be in a situation where I'll wake up and you'll be standing up on me with a knife, and you'll say, I could have killed you in your sleep and I didn't. And I'm like, you know what, Max? At the very least, I know that about you. Thank you. And I'll go back to sleep and hope you don't kill me.
And then when you wake up, you'll know I'm a good person.
Exactly.
I think not judging character is more like knowing that you're not a good judge of character. That's not being a good judge of character. That's
Sure.
just knowing that you shouldn't.
Okay. I understand a lot of people feel that way.
I don't even know what situation could be like that where
Yeah, I know.
could.
That's why you never know until shit happens. You never know, huh?
All right. Well, send me the blackmail information about yourself,
Yeah.
and then we can
And I'll see
figure
if you
out
leak it. Okay.
exactly.
Gotcha.
You think it's unreasonable that I'm mad at you about this?
I would say so, but I understand your anger because I'm empathetic. But if somebody told me, I don't know if I can trust you. Yeah, I get it.
Well,
like if Brittany or
that.
like Lauren or
I'm
Nick
angry
or
that-
you or somebody was like, oh, like, I don't know if I can trust you 100%. Like, yeah, that's fair, 100%. Especially given my history, sure.
I don't know if I can trust you 100% is different from I don't know if you allow your girlfriend to have a phone.
I don't have any insight into your guys' relationship, and everything I've seen is like super like whoof. So I don't know. I just don't know. I wouldn't make a statement about it. I'm not sure. I'd be open to all possibilities.
I just want to clarify that's different from I don't want you to reframe this that I'm angry that you said I don't know if I can trust you 100%. That seems
Sure,
like a
I understand.
reasonable
Here,
thing to
like,
say.
I would say that of all possible worlds, in the majority of those possible worlds, you would allow your girlfriend to have a cell phone. In over 65%, in over 75% of those worlds, you'd have your girlfriend have a cell phone. So there aren't that many where she wouldn't. So.
And what do you think is unreasonable about me being angry about that?
I think that you should understand that I don't have a lot of intimate penetration into your relationship and your personal life. I haven't seen it. So why would I take a strong stance on how you guys conduct yourselves privately? I just wouldn't know. Maybe she doesn't even like cell phone stuff that much. Or maybe she's like a more subservient kind of person. She's like, oh, if you like this, I'll do this, whatever. She's like very housewifey. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. I don't know that.
You've seen the kitchen.
Especially in the same conversation where you've told me, I don't let her talk to people online because I'm protecting her from the internet. That opened up like from all possible worlds from like 80%, then it went down to 75%. Now there's like more possible worlds where maybe Mac's like, you don't get a cell phone.
I didn't mean I don't let her. I meant I will not platform her talking to people.
If she reached out and she was like, I'm going to talk to Eurodite about our relationship on stream, would you be okay with that?
No, but I wouldn't physically stop her.
Would you like break up with her?
No.
Oh, okay.
I would say I don't want you to do that. I think you're interfering with my work and my art. And make a fucking painting about it or something.
What if Shayla reached out to talk to me? Would you like that, or would you not be okay with that?
I'd be a lot more okay with that than Erudite, but I would talk to you on stream. If she wanted to talk to you privately, then I would be happy. I'd be happy with that. If she wanted to talk to you on stream, yeah, I would tell her not to do that.
Okay.
I would just say that you're undermining my voice. Like, this is my thing. Talk about me in another arena or way. But if you come into my like professional artistic sphere and start contradicting or even validating my narratives and my work, then you're I don't know.
That's super unfair.
It'd feel invasive.
Okay.
Why is that unfair?
Because you've made your relationship and your disagreements in your relationship part of your work. So it seems a little strange that you can have your voice fully represented there, but you're worried about her representing hers.
I'm worried about her representing hers in a way that undermines mine. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're undermining her, right? But that's okay. You're okay undermining
No,
her.
I'm not. I'm not undermining her. I'm painting a picture of her.
A really undermined one. You called her a demon.
Oh, it's only undermined assuming you think she disagrees with it. But
well, I imagine she probably doesn't see herself as a demon or demonic or manipulator or abuser. Like in that 30-minute
well,
video.
You can imagine all you want,
okay,
but
maybe
that don't make it true.
Maybe she agrees. Maybe she is.
So Shaylin has a comic about our relationship that she draws, and she posts them on Twitter.
Okay.
Her Twitter is sheebyjeebies, if you guys want to look at it.
Okay.
I think it's 1E _ and then JEEBIES. Or she's Ms. Boy on Twitter. Okay. But so she has a comic about her relationship, and like that's her thing. And so if her comic got really popular, and then I was like, well, I don't like how you're representing our relationship in your comic, so I'm gonna also make a comic, and then start drawing comics that contradict your comic. I think that would feel a little invasive. So I'm fine with her speaking publicly about our relationship. I just don't want her to do it in the same medium, in same way, and sort of use my megaphone to contradict me. Like the only reason you would talk to her, or Erudite would talk to her, is because I am a streamer. It's not because, that's not her thing.
I got it. It's a really good rationalization, so I'll accept it.
Doesn't sound like it.
What's on the agenda for Max? You got anything fun coming up?
Just fighting with you.
Okay, cool. Fun.
Wait, I was trying to finish something.
Oh, sorry. You didn't want her to use your platform, your megaphone.
Yeah. You're saying that makes your stance more reasonable. I was gonna say.
Wait, I didn't say that. you might have assumed I thought that, but no. But go ahead.
Well, no, I was assuming that because you said you went from 80 to 75%. So you're saying that lowered your.
Well, the
faith
80 to
in me.
75%. Oh yeah, was the. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
it lowered it. That was a hit to your faith in me.
Now that
as
you've
a-
explained it, I'll go from 75 up to like 77%. Okay.
Okay, I got 2% back.
You got 2 points. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I understand people really well, really quickly, right?
Okay.
And you're saying we could be friends for 10 years, and then it could turn out that I'm like a mass child murderer, and you'd be like, well, you live and you learn.
Depends on what kind of friend we've been. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to have a problem. We're already having a problem.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Of increasing discrepancy between how well I think I know you and how well you think you know me. And I'm also, I think, a more trusting person than you in general. So how much I trust you versus how much you trust me, there's going to be a gap.
Trust is a fundamentally different thing than how well do I know your character, because there's very few things that I trust anybody with. So there's not like, if I trusted you 1,000,000% with everything in my life more than anybody else, and I didn't trust you at all, period, like zero, there's very little difference in how I would treat you, because there's just not really much to trust anybody else with. Most of my private affairs are incredibly public, save for very, very, very few things. Unless you wanted to like babysit Nathan or something, like there's not very much like, yeah, that's just the kind of person I am. There's not much to trust you with. So whether or not I trust somebody is fundamentally a different question than, you know, how do I judge that person's character to be? They're not, yeah.
I guess maybe trust that I am representing myself to you in an accurate way.
Oh, so whether or not I believe you when you say things that you tell
Well, like,
me.
do you trust? Do you feel like you can trust me to be me?
I don't believe anybody for that, no.
Right, and I
Oh.
do. So I think that there's a gap there. Obviously.
Maybe. That's not unsolvable. That's just a personal. Melina has never lied to me in her entire life, and I don't even trust her when she tells me how she feels sometimes. Not because I think she's lying to me, but because I'm maxing her.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a solvable problem. I just
Okay.
want to point out that I think this has actually been happening ever since our first
Oh,
conversation.
so you're trying to control me and how I feel. Is that what you're doing right now, Max?
No, I'm just explaining that this could be something I get angry about on an ongoing basis. I'm not telling you have to do anything about it, or I'm not even saying it's a solvable problem. I'm just saying I think it's, and maybe I shouldn't have said problem, conflict.
Okay. That's fair.
I'm sure I'm not the first person that you've had this with, and you're not the first person I've had it with. You also seem to get betrayed by other streamers on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah.
I haven't had Stardust or Chud Logic stab me in the back. So I'm... Or you.
I won't. Stardust won't. I don't know about Chud Logic.
Why not?
I don't think Chud Logic would ever stab anybody in the back, but he might play some shit up for content, maybe.
I could see him doing that, but that's okay.
But Chud actually seems pretty cool. Stardust seems really cool too. Those people both seem pretty decent. I'll give them my temporary character seal of approval, but anything could be possible. Okay.
Right. And do I have your temporary character seal of approval?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. I'm being highly charitable to you in all of our conversations. Unbelievable
Seal of
amount.
approval with an asterisk.
That's why I said it's a temporary seal of approval. That's what Stardust and Chud got too. Okay.
Yeah, but you mine also says a charitable seal of approval.
Well, yeah, I do the same for Stardust and Chud Logic.
Oh, you think you're being highly charitable to them too?
I'm highly charitable to almost everybody. People don't think that for some reason because I fight with a lot of people, but like I'll talk with anybody, hear anybody out for anything. But if they start attacking me, then we'll fight, you know.
Does it make you mad that I'm mad at you?
No, I think you have good reason to be. think it's pretty insulting when you feel like you've been pretty vulnerable with somebody and you've shown a great deal of your character and the other person still has some reservation about you or thinks something that you think to be inconceivable of yourself. I think it's pretty normal to feel upset about that.
But are you mad?
No, I understand you. Why would I be upset about it? I think it's reasonable.
Well, I understand you too. I'm mad because I understand you.
Okay, well.
I'm getting a neon sign made for my new hotline show, my call-in show.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
How much is it costing you?
I think it's going to be $600.
Ooh, not bad. Okay.
I recommend it.
For my background?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the most exciting thing. Then I'll go back to working on this pedophile groomer research video.
Gotcha. Should be fun.
Yeah, I want to get some. I want to get an FBI agent on my stream somehow, or an ex-FBI agent. I want to interview an FBI agent.
Oof. I've heard that for some divisions relating to children, you're like, as part of your job, you have to watch a lot of really fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to find one of those people.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're ever tweeting looking for him, I'll give you a retweet, okay? It's part of my temporary character seal of approval. I'll amplify your voice, all right?
All right. I'm gonna mail you a Save Shaylin shirt.
Okay. Medium.
Yeah.
Oh, I have your CD and your tape on my shelf over there. They're like the only two things on my shelf, so feel
That's
special.
an honor. I do. I would like to add a Save Shaylin shirt to your collection. Do you want the black or the light blue? This is the black one.
What does the light blue one look like? Listen, I'm fashion challenged, so just do black. Goes with everything, okay?
Okay. All right.
All good. Oh, I'm getting merch soon.
Okay.
You have to model some of it for me, okay? Just need
Okay.
like 2 or 3
Oh.
pictures. Okay, good.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Just let me know what merch.
Gotcha. Sounds good. Anything else?
Erudite.
Should be fun.
Yeah.
Good faith conversation between two good faith people.
Yeah. Exactly. That's right. I think that's it. Yeah.
All right. Well, if there's anything, feel free to shoot me a DM.
Oh, you too.
Of course. Thanks
My
for
heart is
responding
always-
to me today.
My
so
heart is
quickly.
always open.
Okay. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
Try not to be too aggressive to anybody, okay?
Try not to be too
Too
charitable to anybody.
Yep. All right. I love you. Have fun. Bye.
I love you too. Bye.
All right. Good job, guys. Was that a difficult conversation? Nah, you just have to recognize the extent of like where the boundaries. It gets like kind of weird talking about like how does Shaylin feel about something, because honestly, he has more experience with her, so he might know better than me, or he's missing something, and then I know better than him. But neither of us can know for sure because she's not there for the conversation. So. Now call Brittany, then the roundup will be done. So, I don't know if there's anything for us to talk about relating to the conversation. Did you consider this a conversation where you kept the kid gloves on? No. When I Jesus. When I have If I have conversations with people, there are multiple paths that we can take through the conversation. Some of these paths end the conversation immediately, and then some we can go on a little bit longer. If I accuse them of being like an abuser, and I say that like, oh, like he's just a horrible evil person, what do I get out of that? Like the conversation ends immediately, and then we're done. So I don't think it's ever worth it to just go hard, because like what do you get out of it? And then it's more interesting to hear more of his perspective, I guess, even if I disagree. So. Do you think Mr. Girl's intention not allowing his girlfriend to talk to you since he actually kidnapped her and is using her for content? Good question. Probably not. Fuck off. The Not So Eurodite and Brittany Simon chat happened on Brittany's YouTube stream. Eurodite's Twitch stream was crashing. Interesting. How did that conversation go? I swing wildly between thinking you shouldn't be platforming Max and thinking he's incredibly interesting. I don't know what to think. I mean, all these people, all of the new cast of characters for our Destiny universe are interesting, at the very least. Thank God. Dude, one thing that I noticed compared to fucking Twitch is that Twitch is like a blob of mess of like everybody trying to be the same person and do the same thing, and it's so fucking annoying. And if one motherfucker hates you in that group, like Casey trying to recute it, you're like axed from everything. It's like, how annoying. But like the whole Twitch universe is like one amalgamation of fucking toxic sludge garbage shit. It's so boring. Whereas on YouTube, I noticed that there's way more like distinct communities of people that you can talk to that are all that are so interesting and unique and different. Whereas on Twitch, it's like, I really like Ludwig, who's friends with all of OTK, who's dating like Cutie. I like Mizkif, who's in OTK, who's friends with it. Like every single person is like connected. If you draw like a tree, it's like that circle where you connect every other fucking dot to every other fucking dot. It's so boring, and everybody's trying to suck each other off all the time on fucking Twitch, where everybody like, oh god, I can't say anything mean about Hassan. I can't say anything mean about XQC. Oh god, I can't say anything mean about Mizkif. And if anybody says anything mean ever, they're all like fucking chill. Like, oh god, we have to make amends, and here's the apology video. And look, Pokey and the other guy are eating lunch together, and everything's cool now. We're all gonna. It's like, oh my god, it's so fucking boring. Whereas like in the YouTube world, there's like all these different communities and characters that don't even know each other or have like no crossover at all. And I think that it's way, way, way more interesting, but way more interesting. It's literally a high school lunch table. Yes. Another thing that's nice is that talking with flawed people can give me like an outlet to discuss other things as well. The boundaries thing is a really good example where, oh god, I hate that I'm about to say this. Jordan Peterson has an interesting quote. I think I saw this on Twitter, but it's something like, it's very easy to see when people are being excessively hateful because they're like hanging people or murdering people. It's very hard to see when people are being excessively compassionate. And both of those things can be equally bad. So I think it's similar to when you look at relationships. It's very easy to see when somebody is being excessively aggressive and pushing for too much. It's a lot harder to see when somebody is being excessively weak when it comes to setting certain boundaries. This can be sexual or non-sexual. Yeah, and if somebody fails to set like appropriate boundaries, then like everybody's fighting all the time. Neither person knows where they're standing at any point in time. Like everything just gets like super fucked. Yeah, and it's not good. And sometimes a person's inability or unwillingness to set boundaries can contribute just as much, if not more, chaos to a relationship as somebody that is just too aggressive or pushing all the time for things, you know? Yeah. Can you give some examples of people who are excessively compassionate? Yeah, when people want to indulge in every single fantasy of a child by saying that they're a victim, that they need help with everything, that all of society is oppressive, that you should never be sad or upset about anything. The lack of willingness to challenge people is our number one crime today. That people think that a pain-free existence is a good existence, that there's no type of good conflict. There's a lot of good conflict that you can introduce to somebody in school, especially, because that's the best place to do it. That grows your character, right? Conflict is good. You know, conflict breeds a whole bunch of potentially good things. Now, I don't mean you should be like raping children and that they'll overcome that. I'm not saying that, or you should beat the fuck out of your kids. But like some level of discomfort or conflict is necessary to grow in almost all circumstances. experiences. Reading, nonfiction can be boring, but you learn. Going to the gym sucks, but you get stronger. Eating healthy isn't as much fun as eating donuts all the time, but you grow, right? Like, there's a lot of like potential conflict that you can introduce. Having some, ideological friction with people around you could be uncomfortable, but like you learn and grow from it. But I think that people's like overwhelming amount of compassion these days, it's really ignorance, I think, masquerading as compassion, because you're inhibiting people's ability to grow and learn by saying that they can't handle any conflict in their life at all, Do you think that a teacher could implement conflict in a classroom? Absolutely. Yeah, of course. When you guys do like mock trial stuff or whatever, like, oh, you guys have to argue, write a paper arguing in favor of this or that, or, like these can be like ways of introducing conflict, like the gold stars in School of Rock. True. Anything else about this, or are we moving on from this conversation? Are we good here, or? Okay, hold on. Sorry. Somebody's asking me, can you explain how a person who is too accommodating can be bad? Okay. If you have something that makes you uncomfortable, there are two negative ways that this can be dealt with, okay? We finally have learned this about trigger warnings. Thank God, although they're probably never going away, even though now we know they're garbage. They don't do anything, okay? So either one, you can be over accommodating to yourself, meaning that you constantly avoid like triggering stimulus, or two, your environment can be over accommodating. So I think that what the research has said now is that when you over accommodate people, you make people more stressed out about the things you're trying to over accommodate for. So if somebody wants to link it in chat, I don't have it, but they did, I think they did a study where they had a bunch of people read a passage, or it might've been several passages, and they, for one of them, they provided trigger warnings beforehand, and for the other one, they gave no trigger warnings. They had them read it and then report back their feelings like a day later or a week later or something about it. And when you're given a trigger warning, you are more likely to report feelings of discomfort relating to whatever you've seen. Like just being primed with that trigger warning already makes you uncomfortable. And yeah, I think it says something to the resiliency of a person. If you like just reading something, you need like 15 different trigger warnings, or like trigger warning, rape, trigger warning, whatever. It's like, bro, it's a fucking sentence on Twitter. Okay. If you're honestly this triggered, you need therapy. Okay. Like we shouldn't be building the world around accommodating every single potential negative interaction somebody could have with a particular stimulus. Like people should be built up to be resilient enough to navigate the world without having to avoid every potential thing that can make them uncomfortable. That's another thing too. And this kind of goes along with my compassion thing. You cannot, your life should not be about avoiding every single uncomfortable thing. Like you should be able to handle a healthy level of discomfort in your life. So it's okay. It's okay to feel a little bit uncomfortable. You should be able to deal with that. You should be able to emotionally handle that. Maybe your, pulse is a little bit, whatever, but like physiologically have it, but you should be able to deal with it and then move on. Not every negative experience has to be traumatizing. Not every bad relationship was abusive. Not every bad sexual encounter was rape or sexual assault. Like sometimes things are just like, it is what it is. Like Dan avoiding working on his knee. Exactly. Okay. I think the hard part is making yourself seek it out when you need to, not just dealing with it when it comes your way. Yeah, but the problem is that like this, I think that this starts in school. Right? What do we teach people in school? Because it feels like now, I haven't been in school for a while, but it feels like what's being taught, especially in colleges, is they don't teach you how to deal with uncomfortable situations. They teach you how to avoid uncomfortable situations. These are the types of people you should never talk to. If somebody has this sticker on their car, avoid them, they're a fascist. If somebody has this color hair, ignore them, don't ever do anything. If somebody's this political party, they're a Nazi, don't talk to them. If somebody does this thing, like they're not worth it, they're not even human. If somebody like that, we're not teaching like, hey, when you're having a conversation, somebody's like really challenging a lot of your preconceptions, like, think about this or that, right? Like, do you feel confident in what you believe in? Do you feel confident that you can represent what you believe in? Do you feel confident confident that you can listen to somebody say some real dumb shit and not get ultra triggered over and be like, okay, I understand your opinion. I don't really respect it much, but whatever, we're good, right? Do you have building on those types of capabilities or resiliences is more important than helping you avoid every single potential negative interaction in your entire life. That's insane to me. I think that's really, really bad. You see it happen on social media, right? We have the most useless tool that exists. They should just get rid of it. I think that they should just get rid of every single block or ignore function on every single platform. I don't even know why blocks exist anymore, because anything that you would block somebody for, now you can just report them and they'll get banned. It used to be, in the very late 90s and in the 2000s, you're like, oh, this guy's saying some shit that you don't like, block him. Just block him, ignore him, mute him. Wait, who cares, right? But that's not a thing anymore. It's not enough to block somebody. Now you have to get them banned, fired, kicked out of their apartment, and banned from every payment processor that they ever used to run a business. Jesus. Go back to school, please, before actually commenting about what is being taught in school. I'm going by the things that I've seen. I think I've seen enough in schools to say that this is an issue in schools. I think one of the biggest examples of this was when the Rittenhouse verdict rolled out and every single school decided to, not every single one, but a fuck ton of schools in the United States started to mail out statements to the student body saying, if you need counseling because of this highly traumatic infringement of justice upon black communities, then go ahead and report to the counseling. Bullshit, dude. At that point, bro, if you're sending out messages like that, you're fucked, okay? Your student body is fucked. Your people are fucked. Your humans are fucked. Your minds are fucked. You're that upset about the outcome of a court case that get the fuck out of here, okay? It's not Dred Scott, okay? It's not Plessy v. Ferguson. We're not talking about fucking oh god, black people are slaves again. Sure, let's go to counseling. Now we can talk. Now there are problems, right? Give me the outcome of no. That's insane, okay? Was that for the Rittenhouse shit? Yeah, that was absolutely unreal to me. Jesus Christ. I think it happens more in colleges rather than high school. Yeah, this seems to be more a college thing, but yeah. I don't think that many schools did that. There's hundreds of unis and colleges. You're gonna have someone. My school did it. UNO, the University of Nebraska at Omaha. Fucking, if my school did it, and I saw a few of the Ivy Leagues did it, it wouldn't surprise me if 50% of schools did it, made some sort of statement. Maybe I'm thinking way too high. But I saw statements from a lot of different colleges, and I know that mine did it, which is a fucking state school in Nebraska. So yeah, I don't know, but maybe my estimates, maybe it's really high. Maybe only 10 schools did it, and mine just happened to be one of the ones that did it. I don't know. The issue is that we are teaching the opposite literally, i.e., anyone slightly off from my prescriptions is evil and irredeemable. True. Because a lot of colleges now see their students as clients now and feels they have to cater to them. No, I disagree with that. No. People will, if we set aside all the lefty bullshit and all the conservative bullshit, people go to college because that's where the fucking money is. You will make money with a college degree. Everybody can pretend that's not true because that's the popular talking point. There's a reason why people go to college and get degrees. And that's because you get fucking compensated for it, okay? The money's still there for it. I think that the thing is that school administrators are very, 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 very left-leaning. School administrators are crazy left-leaning for whatever fucking reason. More left-leaning than the professors, usually. That's what I see over and over again when issues pop up. It doesn't seem to be the case that it's a professor that is irritated about stuff going on. It's always school administration that's pushing really far to the left sometimes. Yeah. He was saying that the college sees the students as clients, so the administrators try to cater to the very lefty student body. Yeah, but I don't think you have to cater to the lefty student body. You can just tell students yo, fuck it. This is what we're going to do. We're not going to do this shit. Are the students just going to not go to school? Nah, I don't think so. They'll still go. My experience is that the admin people are super wild, but the professors always seem to have reasonable takes. Yeah, that's my take too, based on the stories that I see coming out. Seems like professors are generally reasonable, but school administrators are fucking wild, fucking insane. Holy shit, absolutely fucking unhinged. Political shit isn't even touched that much with a 10-foot pole in relatively political classes. This is a culture thing rather than schools teaching lefty propaganda. I'm not talking about, don't misunderstand me. I'm talking about like the culture at colleges. I don't think that you're going to take a college class and they're going to teach you to be like super intolerant or weak. I don't think that's the case. I think that is the overall college culture that exists today is one of like college was ideally supposed to be a place where, or this is what I learned growing up. College is the last place for you to truly be challenged in an uncomfortable way before you go off into the real world. College is the last place where they can mind fuck you as hard as possible, and it's good. You're chill. Like you can you're in a safe spot. You've got people that you can talk to. You've got professors to like give you guidance. Like this is the last place that you can stop at to be truly challenged before you step out of school and then you depart into the real world. And people aren't gonna like make you uncomfortable at work or something, right? But it seems like there's a greater interest now in making sure that it just kind of caters to all of the little individual emotional whims of the students to make sure that they're perpetually happy and never upset or challenged with anything. It's generally the student body that makes a big deal about things. Yeah, maybe, yeah. How come conservatives have almost no cultural pull, even though there's so many of them? I don't know. It's a good question. I think a lot of them have themselves to blame. This concept that like art is for losers and you should only focus on like I think conservatives like fed into that a lot, and I think it fucked them hard. Like they obsess over art from like the 1800s and they don't even know any of it. They just say they like it, and then they pretend that like everybody doing music and everybody doing painting and photography are all fucking loser kids or whatever. It's like, okay, well, if you want that to be your perspective on art, that's fine, but you can't be surprised when 30 years later the left won the culture war, okay? Because you have no cultured fucking people. You all got MBAs and you went to work on fucking Wall Street. How can you be surprised if that's the outcome, you know? Yeah, I don't know why conservatives were. I do know why, but like it's just stupid that you like are so invested. That dichotomy between like art and science, like they're two like diametrically opposed things, and an artist can't think like a scientist and a scientist can't think like an artist. It's just so fucking irritating. It's so stupid. But do you require retrospection from your partner? Does a very retrospective person need another retrospective person for a successful... Wait, what is retrospection? Looking back on things? Do you mean introspection? Did you experience any of that from your family growing up doing music school? Bro, my family moved away when I was like 16, 17. I did whatever the fuck I wanted to do. I didn't. Why would I have their approval for anything? It's not like they paid for any of my schooling or anything. You think Mr. Girl meant Shaylin was being excessively compassionate person by being underhanded? No, I'm too lazy to explore that. Or explain that. Or explore it. Surely the answer isn't just to be unaccommodating and reintroduce arbitrary problems like racism. How do you reverse this trend of overaccommodation without harming people unnecessarily? A little bit of harm is okay. You can be around a person that's like racist or hateful a little bit in small doses. It inoculates you. You should be able to handle a little bit of it. You should have the ability to deal with that. You should be able to be around people that don't like you, even people that might even hate parts of you. Like that's like we live in such a huge country with so many different types of people and so many different types of beliefs that you're going to have to accept that at points you're going to come across people that really don't like you, might even hate parts of you. That's part of the agreement that you make living in this society. Like that's just how it goes. That's why it's really sad when you see like people going to speak at colleges getting protested off campus. It's like, bro, just don't go to the speech if you don't like it. Are you serious right now? What the fuck? It's very hard to modulate how much racism any one person is exposed to. It's very hard to achieve what you're advocating for. I mean, setting up society is kind of hard. I'm not saying that you have to like make it so that like, hey, we have a quota that we have to have at least 2% of our student body comprised of KKK members. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that like, I don't know if we need like a diversity safe space on every college campus where white students aren't allowed without getting bullied. You know, like I'm saying like, there's gotta be, we can do it. Okay. You can find a better middle ground. Why not apply this to high school too? I mean, it can be a little bit to high school, but like I think in high school you're still like a little bit too formative. College is a good place to challenge people, but there are POC only dorms, dude. I try not to think about it, but there's that stupid fucking video of like the woke guy and the racist guy and how they agree and everything. I remember walking around at Dartmouth, and I was like looking around. There were a lot of dorms that were like, this is like the Asian whatever dorm, this is like the Indian whatever, and I'm like, isn't it a little bit weird that you've like segregated a lot of your dorms by ethnicity? And it was like, and the kids are like, yeah, I guess. I have something in my teeth. No. But I mean, like, it's kind of funny. It's kind of interesting, but they are not segregated. I mean, you can say they're not, but I mean, like, they literally, could a white person go and live in one of the like Indian dorms? Is that possible? Or were they separated by ethnicity? Were the dorms for students who moved from a foreign country? I think, no, hold on. Let me be more clear. They didn't have like all ethnically separated dorms. It wasn't like this is only for white people, this is only for whatever, and this is only for whatever. They just had a few dorm buildings that were reserved for students of a particular ethnicity. And it might have been for like if they couldn't speak the language or something maybe. I'm not saying that these are like the worst idea in the world. I'm just saying that in the totality of everything, sometimes it seems a little bit funny, but I'm not saying every single dorm was separated by like blacks here, browns here, whites here or something.